Chapter 2952. Book 1, Chapter 392. Divine Light. Zhao Fu ascended to the throne, and a golden wave of light spread out, causing the entire God Palace to shine with golden light. Zhao Fu had become the new lord of the God Palace. Seeing that Zhao Fu had become the lord of the God Palace, the beautiful women understood why Zhao Fu could become one of the 6 sun god children. This person in front of them was an existence that reigned above innate godly spirits, and all restrictions on him had been weakened by his divine power. Zhao Fu looked at the beautiful women and smiled as he said, "How is it now? Can you prove it?" The Phoenix spirit nodded. "We have nothing to say now." The Nyo spirit crossed her arms and lightly harumphed. "Even if we have objections, you're the lord of the God Palace. What can we do to you?" The Qilin spirit looked at Zhao Fu, and her gaze became gentle and was no longer as cold as it had been before. The Qilin spirit asked concernedly, "Can you allow us to leave?" Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. "You can take the little Qilin spirit and leave at any time, but you have to come back after playing outside." The Qilin spirit smiled and nodded. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "All right, I'm going to absorb Origin Sun power. Do you want to come with me?" The Qilin spirit glanced at Zhao Fu and said, "We can go absorb at any time. You should go by yourself." Looking at her, Zhao Fu gave a trace of an evil smile as he said, "You have to come. I can help you cultivate." The Qilin spirit felt quite angry at how overbearing Zhao Fu was, but she could not disobey Zhao Fu's orders. Zhao Fu came to the room where the Origin Sun was. The crystal here was less than 1 meter wide, and it was the smallest crystal in the 7 god palaces. It seemed that the 7 bee spirits often absorbed it, and because they were sun spirits, they did not have to worry about their lifespans being consumed. Zhao Fu hugged the Qilin spirit and started to cultivate. Boom! An explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu sat cross-legged on the ground. His body gave off intense golden light, and a small golden sun appeared on the crystal on his forehead, giving off resplendent light. There were now 7 small golden suns within the circular crystal, and they gave off massive amounts of sun energy. It would be best if there was still one left, and Zhao Fu would collect all of the sun spirits. Zhao Fu looked at the rosy and enchanting beast spirit lying on the ground and said with a smile, "I want to go to the last sun to obtain the source sun energy." The Qilin grumbled coquettishly, "Hurry up and leave. You only know how to bully us." Zhao Fu said with a smile, "I'll deal with you when I come back." The Qilin blushed. Zhao Fu came to the last sun. The ground of this sun was scorched black, and there were almost no plants or living creatures. Some places spewed out hot air, accompanied by rainbow color balloons. It felt like a dream. After coming to the entrance of the sanctuary, Zhao Fu released his sun god representative's power, but he found that he was still unable to enter the sanctuary. The sanctuary seemed to be sealed, and no one was allowed to enter. The sun god representative's power was useless, and Zhao Fu did not know what to do. The other sun's power was even more useless. Zhao Fu stood in the distance, and a massive golden light shot out from between his eyebrows, bringing with it shocking power as it shot towards the sanctuary. The sanctuary released a massive semicircle barrier, blocking that golden light. The light did not cause any damage, and Zhao Fu had wanted to use this method to wake up the goddesses within the sanctuary and have them open the barrier. With his own power, he would not be able to break through such a powerful barrier. After waiting for a while, Zhao Fu frowned as he asked, "Why is no one coming out yet?" Boom! Zhao Fu released an even greater golden light, bringing with it an even greater power as it shot against the barrier, resulting in a massive explosion and a shocking aura spreading out. In the end, there was still no reaction. Zhao Fu frowned as he asked, "What's going on?" A while later, Zhao Fu tried a few more times, but it was to no avail. The sanctuary did not react at all, and no one came out. After thinking for a while, Zhao Fu decided to call the 7 sun goddesses over. Since the sanctuary could not be opened, they would destroy the barrier together. The 7 goddesses would most likely be able to do so. Zhao Fu condensed 7 orbs of light and sealed his words within them, before shooting off in different directions and disappearing. The seventh sun's beautiful women were the first to arrive at the eighth sun. The Qilin spirit looked at Zhao Fu and asked, "What's going on here? Why can't the sanctuary open?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I'm not sure, so I called you over." The Qilin spirit observed the sanctuary for a while before saying, "It's possible that the eighth sun's goddesses sealed the sanctuary forever. Without the sun god herself, it is impossible to open the sanctuary." Zhao Fu said, "I plan to forcefully break through the sanctuary's barrier." The Qilin spirits said, "With the seven of us, we might not be able to do so. The sanctuary's barrier is the most powerful barrier set up by the sun god." Zhao Fu lightly smiled as he said, "That's why I called all of the seven suns goddesses over." At that moment, the six suns middle-aged woman and the other women arrived. They were called Ri Ning, Ri Zhu, Ri Xiu, and Ri Qing. Ri Ning arrived and saw the seven beautiful women's red faces. She knew what had happened but did not mind and asked, "What's wrong?" Zhao Fu said, "I told you to break this barrier together." Ri Ning looked at the barrier and said, The fifth sun's mature woman and the others also arrived. There were 9 of them in total, and they smiled as they looked at the women. They were called Ri Lu, Ri Yang, and Ri Niao. The high-level goddesses did not come. 8 beautiful women with fiery hair, pointy ears, and tall figures flew down. They were the fourth sun's goddesses, and even though Zhao Fu had not touched them yet, they would not be able to escape from Zhao Fu, that lecherous fellow. They were called Ri Yi, Ri Fei, and Ri Mi. The third sun's sun demon and the bewitching women also came. They were called Ri Mo Yi, Ri Qiuli, Ri Qingyu, and Ri Xiao Xiao. They impatiently came at Zhao Fu's side and flirtatiously smiled at Zhao Fu. They were very alluring, and ordinary men would not be able to resist them. 16 figures flew down from the sky. They were the second sun's mature woman, and the first time Zhao Fu had seen them, they had been bathing in the magma lake. They landed on the ground and looked at the women in front of them. Most of them seemed to be quite intimate with Zhao Fu, and they rolled their eyes at Zhao Fu. They were called Ri Mi, Ri Wu, Ri Mei, and Ri Hong. The last to arrive are the first sun's heroic-looking woman and the others. They smiled as they looked at the people present. They were called Ri Ying, Ri Hua, Ri Duo, and Ri Ying. The 8 sun's goddesses all knew each other, and Ri Ying seemed like the big sister and smiled as she spoke. "Everyone, long time no see." Ri Mo Yi flirtatiously smiled as she said, "Long time no see. You should have done it with him first, right? Why didn't you bring him to us earlier?" Ri Ying's face became red as she said, "Be more serious." Chapter 29:53. Book 1. Divine Light Day. Demon Robe lightly laughed as she said, "We third sun's people aren't decent people." The second sun's Rimi said, "Let's ask what happened first." The Qilin spirit explained, "The 8th sun shrine has been sealed forever, and we can only enter by force." The day demon Robe flirtatiously smiled as she said, "No problem. He's our man now, and we can do whatever he wants." The 5th sun's Rimi said, "We're fine with that too." The 4th sun's women looked at the women around them and felt that these women all had ambiguous relationships with Zhao Fu, and some even admitted that he was their man. The women felt quite confused. What had happened between them and Zhao Fu? They had quite a good impression of Zhao Fu. Ri Ying said, "Let's begin." The women nodded and stood at different positions. They stretched out a hand, and terrifying waves of power gathered in their hands, forming a fist-sized golden orb of light. Even though it looked small, it gave off an aura of annihilation. The women looked at the golden orbs of light in their hands and lightly raised their hands, causing the orbs of light to quickly shoot towards the defensive barrier. Bang! 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 Massive sounds rang out as the golden orbs of light exploded and boundless golden light spread out, and a terrifying shockwave rippled out. This shockwave was simply too terrifying, and if it wasn't for the Qilin spirit's help, Zhao Fu might have been sent flying by this shockwave. After the shockwave dissipated, a large hole appeared in the defensive barrier, and Zhao Fu let out a sigh of relief. Now that the defensive barrier had been destroyed, they could enter the shrine. Zhao Fu walked forwards, and the others followed behind Zhao Fu. Walking into the temple, Zhao Fu came to the main hall where the throne was. There were 10 stone coffins in the main hall, and 10 women with snow-white skin, fangs, and purple-red hair were lying inside. They were also wearing purple-red dresses. Riying said, "Their consciousnesses have fallen into a deep sleep, but their bodies have fused with the hall's restrictions, forming a protective power. With your strength, you won't be able to pass through here. Let us act." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Many thanks." The sun demon rogue chuckled and said, "Why are you being so polite with us? Just repay us later." Rilu blushed and said, "Let's activate the restriction together." The women walked up, and the runes on the ground lit up, gathering towards the 10 coffins. 10 terrifying auras emanated out, because this place was the 8th sun. With the augmentation of the 8th sun and the restrictions on the shrine, the 10 terrifying auras were more powerful than any of the goddesses present. The 10 women slowly walked out of the coffins. Their movements were clumsy, and their expressions were wooden. They were like 10 puppets, giving off a strange and terrifying feeling. Boom! The 10 women came out of the coffins and immediately attacked everyone, giving off terrifying power as they rushed towards the women. Although the power that the 10 women gave off was extremely powerful, Riying's side had a lot of people, so they did not feel nervous at all. Riying said with a smile, "Let's attack together. Try not to hurt them." The women nodded. The women stretched out their hands, which gave off a golden light, and they lightly pressed downwards. A massive power pressed down on the 10 women's bodies, pressing them to the ground as if they were being pressed down by a mountain, unable to move at all. Zhao Fu asked, "Can we go over now?" Riying said, "We just need to wake them up." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I'll go wake them up." Riying asked, "How do you plan to wake them up?" Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, "Of course I'll use my method." Riying's face became slightly red as she rolled her eyes at Zhao Fu and said, "You bad fellow, aren't you afraid of karma?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I'm not afraid." Zhao Fu walked over to the 10 women and started to wake them up. Zhao Fu's method was quite effective, and they were soon woken up. Looking at the chaotic scene, the sun demon robe lightly laughed and said, "I won't hold back." The 3rd sun's goddess coquettishly smiled as she ran over to Zhao Fu. Rilu and the other women also walked over with red faces. The Qilin spirit and the other women looked at each other before walking over to Zhao Fu. Riying looked at the other goddesses and said with a slightly red face, "You guys go first. This fellow is a scourge." The other goddesses lightly laughed and went to the front. In the end, only the 4th sun's goddess, Ri Chun, and the other women remained. Their faces were red. They were the only ones who had not done anything with Zhao Fu. Ri Chun said with a red face, "Let's go out first." Ri Fei said with a trace of interest, "Are we really going out? Look, they're all his people. Should we join them?" Ri frowned. "You guys go first. I'll be leaving now." Rimi said with a red face, "I'll also be leaving. We're Lord Sun God's maids and cannot betray Lord Sun God." Rifei looked at this scene with a fervent gaze and said, "Lord Sun God has not touched us, and he's now the God's son. We should listen to him." Ri said, "Rimi, let's go first. Don't worry about them." Rimi nodded with a red face. However, just as the 2 of them were about to leave, a power grabbed them and pulled them into Zhao Fu's embrace. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Did I say you could leave? You're all mine. None of you can escape." Ria's face was red as she rolled her eyes at Zhao Fu. She accepted her fate and did not resist, as he was the 4th sun's godson. Rifei lightly laughed and also joined in. On the 4th day, Zhao Fu was now sitting on the throne and had become the master of the 8th shrine. There were 2 women in his embrace. One was Riying, and the other was the intellectual woman who had been sleeping in the coffin, Ri Xinwu. Zhao Fu asked Ri Xinwu curiously, "Why did you choose to sleep forever?" Ri Xinwu nestled in Zhao Fu's embrace and said with a red face, "In the past, Lord God was our center. Without Lord God, There was no meaning for us to exist, so we chose to sleep forever and wait for the day when Lord God returns. But now we've changed. You're our center, and we take you as our master." Zhao Fu nodded with a satisfied smile. Ying lightly laughed and said, "Now that you're the master of the 8 shrines and have obtained all of the goddesses, how do you feel?" Zhao Fu lightly smiled and said, "It's my honor to obtain all of you peerless beauties." Ying smiled and said, "Your words are nice. Now, let's go and absorb the 8th sun's sun essence power. We've been looking forward to this day. I wonder what kind of shocking changes will happen to the first person to fuse with all 8 sun essence power." Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. "I've also waited for this day for a long time." Chapter 2954. Book 1. Zhao Fu was stunned. Zhao Fu came to the room with sun essence energy, which was also a sea of flames. However, the crystal floating in the air was about 3 meters wide and gave off boundless golden light, making it look like a small sun. Zhao Fu walked forwards, and the women obediently stood there, looking at Zhao Fu in anticipation. After coming below the crystal on Zhao Fu's forehead shot out a golden ray of light towards the crystal in the air, and a powerful wave of sun essence energy entered Zhao Fu's body. Zhao Fu closed his eyes and started to absorb the massive wave of sun essence energy. Time gradually passed, and the aura that Zhao Fu gave off became more and more terrifying. Sensing this power, the women felt quite shocked, and they felt that something terrifying was about to be born. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a small sun appeared from the crystal on Zhao Fu's forehead. Zhao Fu gave off a massive wave of power, and his body gave off boundless golden light, making him look like a human-shaped sun. Zhao Fu's body became illusory, as if he did not exist. However, the women could clearly see him there, but they could not sense Zhao Fu's existence. At that moment, Zhao Fu's expression was quite serious as he got up from the ground and walked towards the women. Seeing Zhao Fu walk over, the women looked quite confused, not knowing what had happened or why Zhao Fu had become like this. Niuling said, "AI, what are you trying to do?" Zhao Fu did not reply and continued forwards. His body passed through the Qilin spirit's body and continued to pass through Ri Chun and Ri Lu's bodies. He then passed through their bodies and came outside the room. The women all looked quite shocked. Ri Ying asked, "Did you sense anything when he passed through your bodies?" Ri Chun and the other women shook their heads and replied, "I did not sense anything." Ri Ying frowned as she said, "What is he trying to do?" The women followed Zhao Fu forwards and came to the entrance of the temple. Their bodies blurred and turned into 8 golden images, and the other 7 turned into rays of light and disappeared, leaving only one standing there. The figure then turned into countless golden specks of light and sank into the ground. Everyone stood rooted to the ground, frowning. Ri Lu asked, "What happened here? Why did he disappear?" Ri Ning shook her head. "I don't know. Such a thing has never happened before." Ri Ying said, "I had already expected that fusing 8 types of sun origin energy would result in an astonishing change, but I didn't expect it to be like this." Ri Chun said solemnly, "I feel that he has turned into some unknown existence. Even with our cultivation, we can't sense him. It's really surprising." Hu Ling asked with concern, "Now that he has disappeared, what should we do?" Ri Ying pondered for a moment. "There's nothing we can do right now. We can only choose to wait. I think there will be changes after some time, but I don't know how long we'll have to wait." Demon Yi said bitterly, "I don't want to be apart from him even for a moment. He is the man that I am most infatuated with, and I feel like I am with him every day." A blush appeared on the faces of the women. Ri Lu's face became slightly red as she said, "He does indeed have a formless charm. Whether it is in terms of identity, bloodline, looks, or power, there is no woman who would not be moved. There is almost no such perfect person in the world." Ri Chun said shyly, "I like his looks." Ri Ning lightly laughed as she said, "I like his domineering personality." Feng Ling said calmly, "I like his identity. He can now become the temple master of the 8th Sun Temple." Demon E laughed lewdly as she said, I don't want anything. I only like that kind of ability. He is the first man that I am willing to be a slave to. Even the sun god could not do this. The women did not know that Zhao Fu had turned into many golden specks of light that continuously flew towards the ground and reached the core of the sun. It was the core of the sun which gave off a searing heat. It was like a pure fiery crystal that seemed to be able to incinerate everything and make it so that no living creature could survive. The motes of light that Zhao Fu had turned into formed a watermelon-sized orb of light that floated above the core of the sun and absorbed massive amounts of sun power. The 7 other figures flew to different suns and turned into motes of light that descended to the ground. They passed through countless obstacles and came near the core of the sun, turning into orbs of light and absorbing the massive amount of sun power. The 8 sun goddesses waited for half a day and did not find any reaction, so they returned to their own suns. The orbs of light absorbed massive amounts of sun power and gave off intense light as they became larger and larger. In just one day, they had become orbs of light that were 1,000 meters wide and gave off terrifying power. However, the orbs of light did not seem to be satisfied with this amount of power, and they flew towards the massive core of the sun and slowly fused into it. At that moment, the 8 suns trembled and a boundless might burst forth. The countless godly spirits felt incredibly small, as if they were grains of sand in the universe. The moon goddesses understood that this was caused by Zhao Fu, and they gave serious looks as they continued to wait. The moon immortals on the 12 moons immediately sensed the changes to the 8 suns. It was said that the sun and moon were both source energies of the heaven and earth, and they had a mutually reinforcing and suppressing relationship. The moon immortals all had serious looks on their faces. They could sense that this matter was not simple at all. A massive change had definitely happened to the 8 suns. However, the 8 suns had not changed like this in a very, very long time. The 12 moons were fine, and even though the moon immortals had ascended, there were still generations of moon immortals. However, the 8 sun gods of the 8 sun god hall had disappeared, causing the 8 sun god hall to fall into decline. The moon immortals felt that this matter was incredibly important, so they gathered together to discuss it. The moon goddess said curiously, How many years has it been? This is the first time something like this has happened to the 8 suns. Did something happen? Yu Wuxing guessed. Could it be that the sun gods have returned? Yu Yao lightly laughed as she said, How is that possible? The sun gods have disappeared for such a long time. It's not very likely that they would suddenly return. Yu Xin nodded. I don't think so. It's most likely caused by something else. The moon goddess then asked, The key is what happened. I faintly feel that this will greatly affect the 12 moons. After all, we have a mutually reinforcing and suppressing relationship. Yu Duku said softly, I also have this feeling. I just hope that it's not a bad thing, or else the situation will be quite serious. Yu Yao suddenly said, Do you think it has something to do with husband? Hearing this, the women felt quite startled and suddenly thought of Zhao Fu, who had left for a long time. Even though Zhao Fu had not said what he was going to do, Zhao Fu had come to the lunar ground to collect 12 moons' power. After collecting moon power, would he go collect sun power? These 2 powers were both source energies of the primal chaos world. Chapter 2955 Book 1 395 The moon saintess lightly laughed as she said, That's possible. His identity is quite mysterious, and it is not surprising that he has gathered 8 suns' power. Yu Qianqian smiled as she said, and he has terrifying abilities. I feel that only he has the ability to cause the 8 suns to mutate. Yu Duku smiled and nodded. Even though he only has Emperor Heaven Realm cultivation, we truly admire him and feel that we cannot compare to him. It's a pity that he is not willing to stay in the Moon Palace, or else our Moon Palace would have become the most powerful in the outer world. Yu Wuxing smiled as she said, It's a pity that his heart is not with us, and we cannot keep him. Also, I'm quite curious about his identity. Yu Xianzi said after thinking about it. If he grasps two types of innate source energies, what kind of shocking changes will there be? Yu Shumin said seriously, just thinking about it makes me feel shocked and afraid. No one has ever done such a thing before. I still remember the scene of the 13th moon appearing last time. The moon's saintess thought of something. Do you think his goal is to awaken the outer world's supreme emperor star? It said that in order to awaken the outer world's supreme emperor star, one has to collect the outer world's two innate source energies. Yu Xianzi smiled as she said, "It would be great if that's the case. With the supreme emperor star, let alone the outer world, he would be an invincible existence even in the celestial world." Yu Shumin smiled as she said, this will be of great benefit to us. However, let's not get too happy yet. Perhaps it is not because of him. Recently, many terrifying people have appeared in the outer world. The women nodded. Within the extreme Yang region, everyone looked at the sun in the sky, which gave off intense light. The countless sun people felt their bloodline start to awaken, and their bodies started to heat up. What happened? Countless people looked at the sky in shock. Ri Xian looked at the sky and said, "I think the godchild has been quite successful on the sun. This is most likely because of him." Ryu smiled and nodded. I feel more and more admiration towards him. Ri Xian smiled as he said, "It was long since prophesied that he would lead us to glory. The 8 Sun God Temple's current changes are all because of him. Without him, we would not have been able to do anything." Ri Xian said calmly, "He is someone I admire from the bottom of my heart. Although I am an almighty, I feel like I am nothing in front of him." Sun Yo chuckled. Everyone has the same feeling. With God's Son's potential, he will definitely become an existence that we can't touch. Rika looked at the sky and said, "I wonder when God's child will return. When he returns, we must celebrate with the entire clan." Ri Xian said, "There's no way for us to know about this matter. We just have to wait obediently." A few more days passed. The people from the outer world frowned as they looked at the 8 suns in the sky. They felt that the weather was becoming hotter and hotter. These ordinary people could feel it, and they were also discussing this matter. The old man who planted some spirit fruits said curiously, "Recently, the weather has been a bit abnormal. Why is the sun so strong? Even the spirit fruits I planted can't take it." His son said, "Yes, and the days seem to be getting longer. It will be a long time before the sky gets dark. I don't know what happened. I'll go into the city later to see if there's any news." A beautiful woman was sweating all over, fanning herself with a fan as she scolded in annoyance. "What kind of weather is this? Why did it suddenly become so hot?" A female attendant said, "Miss, it seems that it's very hot everywhere. I wonder what happened, and many people are asking about it." Hearing this, the beautiful woman asked, "Is there any news?" The female attendant shook her head. "There's no news, but this matter has attracted the attention of many experts. There should be some news soon." The beautiful woman nodded and continued to fan herself. A red-haired old man stood at the top of a mountain and looked at the suns in the sky. "Just what is going on? 8 suns have become so hot. Normally, abnormal signs would cause a region to change, but the entire primal chaos world has been affected." A green-clothed old man came to his side and said, "This matter might be related to the 8 Sun God Hall." The red-haired old man said in surprise, 8 Sun God Hall? The 8 Sun God Hall that has declined for a long time?" The green-clothed old man nodded. The red-haired old man laughed as he said, "If you hadn't mentioned it, I would have forgotten about its existence. The 8 Sun God Hall has disappeared for so long, yet they still exist. This is a miracle." The green-clothed old man said, "I heard that a mysterious person came to the 8 Sun God Hall. He unified the scattered 8 Sun God Halls and became the son of the God Hall." The red-haired old man nodded and smiled as he said, "And then?" The green-clothed old man said calmly, "And then he ascended to the sun." The red-haired old man's expression froze. "Really? Someone ascended to the sun? I can't even do such a thing." The green-clothed old man said, "It's true, which is why I said that this abnormality might have been caused by the 8 Sun God Hall. The red-haired old man became serious. Then did you find out who that person is? The green-clothed old man replied. It seems to be the person who prophesied about the eighth sun god emissary. The red-haired old man said in shock, back then, was the death of the eighth sun god emissary related to this? Or is this a chess piece? The green-clothed old man had a serious expression as he nodded. My intuition tells me that there's definitely a relationship between them. Otherwise, how could such a powerful force suddenly become like this? If this is all part of the eighth sun god hall's plan, it's possible that the eighth sun god hall, which has been silent for a long time, will once again shake the world. The red-haired old man said, the eighth sun god hall was once one of the most powerful factions in the primal chaos world, and this matter is indeed quite important. Should we go to the eighth sun god hall to take a look? The green-clothed old man said, there's no need. That person has already ascended. Unless we can personally fly up, we'll be able to find out about the eighth sun god hall's entire plan. The red-haired old man sighed. Forget it. The green-clothed old man said, there's no need for us to be anxious. We just need to make the best preparations to welcome what's about to happen. The red-haired old man asked, what do the other factions think about this? The green-clothed old man replied, just like us, they haven't done anything. They're just preparing for something big. However, many people have gone to visit the eighth sun god hall's people. In the future, the eighth sun god hall might once again rise to glory. The red-haired old man laughed as he said, let's send some people then. We can also gain a new understanding of the eighth sun god hall. The green-clothed old man nodded. I'll immediately send people to do it. Chapter 2956. Book 1. Chapter 396. Battle on the ninth day. The eight suns in the sky gave off intense sunlight, and a massive wave of heat scorched the ground. Countless creatures felt as if they were living in a steamer, and some plants and animals were burnt to death by the terrifying sunlight. The days became longer and longer, and the nights became shorter and shorter. There were almost no clouds in the sky, and the sky became incredibly blue. Everyone looked up at the suns in the sky, wondering when this would end. Boom! A shocking explosion sounded out as the eight suns gave off even more intense sunlight, causing the sky to seem to be filled with light. Sensing the powerful auras from the suns, the goddesses' expressions fell and they once again gathered. They understood that the situation was about to change. 8 100,000-meter wide orbs of golden light slowly floated out from the eight suns, giving off boundless light. The source energy that they gave off was incredibly vast, and countless creatures seemed like ants. These 8 golden orbs of light absorbed the heaven's essence sun energy, which was a maximum amount of energy that Zhao Fu could withstand. If he extracted such a large orb of light from the origin land, it would take 1,000 or so years. Looking at the 8 orbs of light, the goddesses looked quite shocked. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the 8 massive orbs of light gave off heaven-toppling power and slowly gathered towards the center before colliding together. Countless rays of light covered the heavens and the earth as a world-shaking power spread out. The light was incredibly blinding, making it so that the goddesses could not open their eyes. Under that terrifying power, their bodies felt an icy coldness. Countless people on the ground saw countless rays of golden light shine down from the sky, causing the world to become golden and making it impossible to see anything clearly. Boom! An explosion that shook the surroundings rang out once more. The power of the world was like a massive river as it gathered in the sky, giving off a vast aura. To the east, west, south, and north, countless creatures sensed that massive power gathering, and they felt how insignificant and weak they were. Their bodies froze, and their minds went blank, unable to think clearly. Within the outer world, countless experts were woken up and looked at the sky seriously. The moon immortals in the 12 moons also looked at the sky seriously. The people of the city of 10,000 swords, the people of the Dragonland, the countless people of the Shaman land, the countless people of the Blood Sect, and Long Wushui who was in a sealed land, all looked at the sky with a serious expression. As the power of the world continued to gather in the sky, an extremely vast and ultimate power spread out. All living beings felt a wave of pressure, as if the ruler of the sky had descended. Boom! A deafening explosion rang out, and countless rays of light disappeared in an instant. An indomitable golden giant appeared. He had no hair, and his face was resolute. There was a mark formed by 8 rings between his eyebrows. He was not wearing any clothes on his upper body, revealing his well-defined muscles. Behind him was a huge asterisk that looked like a huge golden sun. He exuded an aura that could dominate the world and drive away all darkness. Everything in the world seemed so small and insignificant before him. Countless goddesses looked at the golden giant in shock, their hearts beating quickly. That giant had become an innate god, or more accurately, an 8th sun god. The goddess respectfully knelt on the ground. In the land of extreme Yang, countless Sun clansmen also knelt on the ground in shock. Their minds went blank as if it was instinctive. This was because their bloodlines had been completely activated. The Sun clansmen had never believed in a god before, and their bloodlines had fallen silent. At that moment, they had a new god to believe in. Countless experts were also shocked. They had never thought that they would personally witness the birth of an innate god. Under this earth-shaking aura, it was as if even celestials would be killed, and they, the higher beings, would be like ants. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the giant released a massive wave of golden light that swept out with an aura that covered the entire world. In just a few moments, it covered the entire chaos world. The various plants, animals, and races in the chaos world were all covered by this golden light. The plants quickly grew, and the animals became larger. Countless people looked surprised. They felt that their fate power was becoming stronger, and their bloodlines were becoming purer. I never thought that the birth of a new sun god would be so beneficial to them. Everyone looked delighted. The sun was one of the sources of life in the chaos world. Its appearance would definitely affect the entire chaos world. The massive golden giant dissipated into countless motes of light, and Zhao Fu's body reappeared in the void. Zhao Fu frowned slightly. That wave of golden light was not released by Zhao Fu. It was drawn by some kind of power. The many goddesses happily came in front of Zhao Fu and said, "Congratulations on becoming an innate god." Zhao Fu looked at the goddesses and smiled. He did not think too much about it. Everyone returned to the ground. Zhao Fu could feel the massive sun power in his body. It could be said that he had the strongest sun power in the chaos world, and he also had the innate god power of an innate god. The divine power of the chaos world was extremely powerful. Finally, there was another good thing, which was that Zhao Fu's evil celestial bloodline had broken through all of the restrictions. In other words, all of the restrictions on Zhao Fu's bloodline had disappeared, and Zhao Fu could directly devour the insect beast bloodline to raise the evil celestial bloodline to the peak. Zhao Fu knew that the 8 forbidden blood art had been created from 8 days of origin energy, and now that he had such immense power, Zhao Fu's bloodline was no longer restricted by his bloodline. This was a good thing for Zhao Fu. Because of Zhao Fu's bloodline's restrictions, the speed at which he could raise his bloodline was incredibly slow, and he had no idea how long it would take. Moreover, the 8 forbidden bloodline was one of the keys to awakening the supreme Emperor Star. Ring lightly laughed as she said, "I guess that you would become a sun god, but I never thought that you would actually become a sun god, and such a powerful innate sun god at that." Zhao Fu smiled as he replied, "Mm." The Qilin's face became slightly red, and she said somewhat embarrassedly, "Now, I acknowledge you as my man." The sun demon, Yi said flirtatiously, "You made us worry for nothing. How are you going to compensate us?" Zhao Fu stretched out his hand and hugged the Qilin and the sun demon Yi as he said, "I'll compensate you now." The women giggled as they walked towards the shrine. While Zhao Fu was having fun on the sun, the ground was in an uproar. Countless people were discussing this matter. This was a new innate sun god, an existence that could affect the entire chaos world. Chapter 2957. Book 1, Chapter 397. I knew the 8th Sun God Temple would change, but I didn't expect it to be an innate Sun God, and an 8th Sun God at that. If he matures, will he be even more terrifying than the previous 8 Sun Gods? Of course, because he has 8 types of sun power. The previous 8 Sun Gods didn't even have one. I wonder who became an innate Sun God. Such potential is shocking, and he will definitely affect the development of the primal chaos world in the future. I'm also curious who became an innate Sun God. I've received some news that it's a very mysterious person. Not only did he unify the 8 Suns' divine hall in the land of extreme yang with lightning speed, but he also used this opportunity to ascend to the sun and become the new Sun God. Mysterious person again? How many mysterious people have appeared? It seems like the 12 moon immortals ascended with the help of a mysterious person. Last time, he even caused the 13th moon to descend. I've lived for so long, and I've never seen anything like this before. I can faintly feel that something big is going to happen. All sorts of geniuses are going to appear at this time. I don't believe that nothing big is going to happen. Yes, that's what I think too. Recently, I haven't been paying attention to other matters. I've been staying at my place. I don't want to cause any trouble. The people in the Dragonlands all smiled. Countless people did not know that this innate sun god representative was their young master. The black-clothed old man laughed loudly. I haven't been so happy in a long time. The silver-horned old man said happily, Me too. I never thought that our young master would become an innate sun god. Now, all sorts of factions are trying to find out about young master's identity. They would never have thought that it would be our young master. The purple-clothed old man smiled and said, I was worried that young master would be in danger. I thought that young master would return after obtaining the source sun power, but I underestimated young master. In the future, I won't have any objections to young master's decisions. The blue-clothed old man smiled and said, Let's keep a low profile and not reveal young master's identity, lest it affect young master's plan to awaken the supreme Emperor Star. The dignified-looking old man said excitedly, I believe that young master will become the ruler of the primal chaos world, and the entire primal chaos world will be under the rule of our dragon race. I didn't even dare to think about this before, but with young master's abilities, it's possible. The black-robed old man laughed. It's all thanks to Long Wushui for choosing such a good successor. Without her, young master wouldn't have become the successor of the demon dragon bloodline, much less the young master of the desolate ancient dragon race. The dignified old man nodded. This time, she has done a great service. I will help her break the seal. Now that the young master has become a shaman son of the sorcerer tribe, the grudges from before have been resolved. There is nothing wrong with letting her out. The black-robed old man nodded. After all, she is young master's master. Although young master doesn't say it, he really wants her to come out. It's only because of the greater good that he continues to seal her. If we release Long Wushui, he should be very happy. The silver-horned old man said with a smile, All right then, let's go undo that seal together. I think it's best to call some people from the sorcerer race. After all, it was their sorcerer lord who sealed Long Wushui. We need to maintain a good relationship with them. The dignified old man nodded. Yes, I'll send someone to inform the witch tribe immediately. The 12 Months Palace. Yu Xinzi said, Did you see that golden giant? The women all nodded. The moon saintess said, Now we can confirm that he gathered 8 types of sun power and became a new innate sun god. Yu Yao nodded and smiled as she said, Even though that giant looks similar to him, we can clearly sense the aura he gave off. It's that fellow. Yu Duku lightly harumphed. That fellow clearly went to gather 8 types of sun power, but he hid it from us and didn't want to tell us what he was doing. If it wasn't for the fact that we could sense his aura, we might have been deceived by him. Yu Qianqian nodded. I don't understand either. We're already his women, so why is he still hiding it from us? Yu Shumin smiled as she said, I believe he has his reasons. Moreover, he treats us quite well. The moon saintess lightly nodded and said, Even though he treats us quite well, we still have to deal with him when he returns. He can't keep us busy with everything. Yu Xinzi suddenly said. Actually, his goal is very clear, to awaken the Supreme Emperor Star. Yu Qianqian asked, the Supreme Emperor Star is a legend even in the outer world, and it's impossible for us. Do you think it's possible for him? Yu Wuxing lightly laughed as she said, of course it's possible. As our man, he's definitely more outstanding than us. Moreover, he's already obtained the 2 keys to awakening the Supreme Emperor Star, sun power and moon power. He's just missing an opportunity. Yu Xinzi smiled as she said, Wuxing, you're right. Moreover, we don't know his true identity yet. Perhaps he's still hiding some sort of powerful power. The Moon Saintess said longingly, I wonder when he'll come back. I really miss him. Yu Yao said teasingly, I think you're thinking of love. The Moon Saintess' face became red. I'm not. Yu Wuxing said with a red face, I also miss him. The women started to play around, no longer as cold and aloof as before. Yu Xinzi looked at the void in front of her and wondered when Zhao Fu would return to the Moon Palace. She also missed Zhao Fu. After all, Zhao Fu was her first man. However, Zhao Fu, that trash, was currently enjoying himself, not thinking about the Lunar Palace's women. This was enough to make others despise him. A few days later, Riying nestled in Zhao Fu's embrace and asked softly, now that you've gathered 8 types of sun power, what do you want to do next? Zhao Fu thought about it. Now that he had gathered sun power and moon power, and there were no restrictions on the evil celestial bloodline, there was only one thing left, which was to collect the bronze shards. Zhao Fu did not plan to tell Riying about this, and he smiled as he said, nothing. The sun demon flirtatiously smiled as she said, then just stay on the sun, all right? You're a sun god, so you should stay on the sun. We don't want to be separated from you. The women looked at Zhao Fu and nodded. Zhao Fu said apologetically, I'm sorry, I still have many things to take care of and can't always stay on the sun. The sun demon angrily harumphed. The women all looked quite disappointed. They had waited countless years to meet Zhao Fu, and now that they had to part with Zhao Fu in such a short period of time, they felt quite reluctant. Looking at them, Zhao Fu said comfortingly, I'll come up to accompany you when I have time. Ascending to the sun is quite easy for me. Only then did the women's expressions ease up. Chapter 2958. Book 1. Book 3. 398. A few days later, Zhao Fu hugged the women and said, I'm going to leave now. The women knew that Zhao Fu was going to leave, but they still felt quite reluctant. The Qilin spirit asked, what will you do after leaving the sun? Zhao Fu said, I can't tell you about this. The Qilin spirit harumphed in dissatisfaction. Riying asked, what will you do with the 8th sun god temple after you leave? Zhao Fu thought about it and said, I'll leave everything to you. There are no restrictions on you, and you can leave the sun at any time. Riying rolled her eyes at Zhao Fu and said, don't you know how to have fun and leave this mess to us? Also, things are not as simple as you think. Because of the birth of a new sun god, the 8th sun god temple needs to go through changes. What's more, you're a god with 8 types of sun power. Zhao Fu lightly laughed and said, I'll do whatever you say. I'll completely cooperate with you. Now that Zhao Fu had collected 8 types of sun power, he did not care too much about the 8th sun god temple. He just wanted to deal with these things and continue collecting bronze shards. Riying looked at Zhao Fu and said, I want to abolish the 8th sun god temple and build a new one. Hearing this, the women all looked quite surprised. Rijun looked at Riying in shock and asked, are you sure? Rilu thought about it and said, I never thought that this day would come. Are we really going to abolish the 8th sun god temple and build a new one? Rining slightly frowned and said, I don't really want to. We should have been loyal to the previous godly spirit, and doing this feels like we're betraying the godly spirit. In the past, the godly spirit treated us quite well. Rihua nodded and said, I don't know why you want to abolish the 8th sun god temple. Riying replied, seriously, the new sun god, great god. We should take the new sun god as our leader. Also, the previous 8 gods have disappeared for so many years, and they won't return in the future. we shouldn't have any hope for them either. We also need to welcome a new beginning, and we can't immerse ourselves in the past. Hearing this, the women all fell silent. The day demon Robe lightly laughed as he said, I have no objections. You can do whatever you want. However, there's one thing I agree with. We've waited for so many years, and I think we should start anew. Ri-chun sighed, all right, I don't have any objections. I've waited for so many years, and I've had enough. I don't want to wait any longer. Even if Lord God returns in the future, I won't listen to them anymore. Niu Ling lightly laughed as she said, I also support the change. In the past, even though we had noble statuses, we were just godly spirits maidservants. However, things are different now. We are the mistresses of the God Palace and not some maidservant. As such, I support husband. Ri-ning showed a smile and said, thinking about it this way, our current man is Zhao Fu, and we're the mistresses of the lookout, managing everything in the lookout. Our identity is no longer the same as the sun god, so we should change it. Ri-lu said softly, since you have no objections, then I have no objections either. Ri-ing smiled and said, then I'll continue with my thoughts. The first thing is that the lookout should change its name. The day demon Robe charmingly smiled and said, in the future, we'll call it the 8th Sun Shrine. In the future, we'll serve husband here and help him collect beauties from the primal chaos world. Husband, you should be very happy, right? The day demon Robe looked at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu chuckled. Ri-ing lightly pinched Zhao Fu and said, be serious. If you're like this, then I won't care about these things. Zhao Fu stopped laughing and nodded. Speak, I'm listening. Ri-ing said, I plan to change the name of the 8th Sun Shrine to the Supreme Lookout. Now that you've condensed 8 types of sun source power and have become an innate sun god, you can bear the name Supreme. Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. Ri-ing continued, also, now that you're the owner of the 8 suns, you can change the scenery of the 8 suns. How do you plan to change it? Zhao Fu asked. Change the scenery of the suns? Can I make the suns grow on trees and flowers? Or even have rivers and lakes? Ri-ing shook her head and said, no, rivers and lakes cannot exist on the suns unless you use your own godly power to open up a godly land. When I say changing the scenery, I mean changing the foundation. For example, our first sun, you can create mountains, plains, and lava rivers. You can also change the sky and the heat emitted by the sun. Zhao Fu was not interested in these things and would not stay on the sun for long. Therefore, he smiled and said, in a while, I'll hand over the authority to you. You can change the sun however you want. Ri-ing nodded and said, next is the matter of the 8th Sun Shrine. Do you want to continue developing the 8th Sun Shrine and recruit countless believers, or do you want to maintain the status quo? Zhao Fu thought about it and said, develop the 8th Sun Shrine. Ri-ing smiled and said, then we'll create your core, God statue. Zhao Fu asked, what's the core, God statue? Ri-ing explained, the core God statue is the core of all God statues. All other God statues of various sizes will be based on the core God statue, and other believers can obtain sun's power through the core God statue. Zhao Fu suddenly remembered that he had obtained sun's power through the core God statue, and smiled as he said, take me to see the core God statue. Ri-ing smiled and nodded as she said, let's condense the core God statue then. Everyone left the room and came to an underground palace. There was an 8-meter-tall altar in the palace, and it was surrounded by lava. There was a statue on the altar, which was the vast sun god statue, and it was made of fire-colored crystals. Zhao Fu looked at the statue and asked, what should I do now? Ri-ing explained, that is the sun god platform, and it can connect to the entire sun. Only through this core god statue can one obtain sun's power. You need to fuse your divine blood with sun's power to create the core god statue. Zhao Fu nodded and used his fingernail to cut open his wrist. Blood continuously flowed out, and under Zhao Fu's control, it formed a ball of blood that was as big as an egg. With the ball of blood as the center, Zhao Fu started to send in a large amount of 8 suns power. The ball of blood gave off boundless light as large amounts of sun's power gathered and poured into the ball of blood, causing it to start to crystallize. The ball of blood that was as big as an egg became a blood crystal, and the blood crystal became bigger and bigger, becoming as big as a fist, and then as big as a watermelon. Finally, under Zhao Fu's control, it became a 2-meter tall, 1-meter wide rectangular crystal. Following this, Zhao Fu started to use his power to change the crystal's shape, turning it into Zhao Fu wearing a cloak. Zhao Fu did not want his true appearance to be revealed, as that would bring him a lot of trouble. Finally, a 2-meter tall, blood-colored crystal statue appeared in front of everyone. Apex. Chapter 2959. Book 1, Chapter 399. God's Incarnation. If one knew who Zhao Fu was, they would be able to tell. If one did not know who Zhao Fu was, they would not be able to tell that this statue was Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu looked at Riying and asked, "What should I do now?" Riying said, "You are now the new sun god. You only need to go up and take down the statue on the sun god platform and place your own statue on it." Zhao Fu asked in surprise, "It's that simple?" Riying smiled and nodded. "You are the ruler of the sun. There are no restrictions on you. If we go near there will be an extremely terrifying power of the sun that can instantly burn a higher being expert to ashes." Zhao Fu was quite shocked. The power of the sun is that powerful. Riying smiled and said, "I told you before that the statue is connected to the sun and can use boundless power of the sun." Zhao Fu nodded and flew forward with his statue, landing on the altar. He looked at the vast sun god statue in front of him. This vast sun god statue was connected to the sun and was baptized by boundless power of the sun. The power it contained was extremely terrifying and could be said to be an extremely terrifying and rare treasure. Zhao Fu did not know how to use it now, but it would definitely be of great use in the future. Zhao Fu waved his hand and put away the statue. Boom! A massive rumbling sound rang out, and a wave of golden sun power erupted from the altar like a volcanic eruption. A massive shockwave spread out. The entire palace was filled with golden light. The terrifying shockwave caused the goddesses to continuously retreat. They felt a wave of fear, and a feeling of powerlessness welled up in their hearts. Fortunately, they had stayed here and did not go forward, otherwise they might have been instantly incinerated. Cracks appeared on the countless vast sun god statues of various sizes in the land of extreme Yang before they shattered and fell to the ground, giving off muffled sounds. The countless god envoys of the vast sun god palace all looked confused. What happened? Why did the statue shatter? The sun god envoys hurriedly gathered together. Ri Jian asked in bewilderment. Nothing has happened to this blazing sun god statue for thousands of years. Why did it shatter today? Sun Nyo said, "This matter is definitely related to sun deity. I wonder what sun deity is doing?" Ri Xian pondered and said, "I think there will be a big change in the 8th Sun Temple." Ryu nodded solemnly. "I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing." At this moment, a god emissary ran in and reported, "Sun god emissaries, it's bad. All the statues in the Sky Sun Shrine have been shattered." Hearing this, the sun god emissaries were not surprised. They had already expected this. After a while, another god emissary reported in panic, "God emissaries, something big has happened. All of the statues in the Divine Sun Shrine have been shattered." Ri Xian nodded indifferently. "You can leave first." The oracle left the hall. Ri Xian said, "I reckon that all the statues will shatter, and there won't be a complete statue in the 8th Sun Temple." Ri Jian frowned. "Our god power comes from the statues. If all the statues shatter, how are we going to obtain god power in the future?" Ri Xian calmly replied, If this matter is not resolved, then the 8th Sun Temple will disappear." Ri Xian was shocked. "It can't be. Although the 8 sun gods have disappeared for so long, I never thought that the 8th Sun Temple would disappear. If the 8th Sun Temple disappears, what's the point of us existing? The Sun Clan will also lose their faith." Ri Jian said solemnly, "Even if you don't want to, what ability do you have to change it? Now that the most important statue has been destroyed, how can the 8th Sun Temple still exist? Rixin said worriedly, now I'm a little worried about our future and the future of the entire Sun Clan. Rixin calmly said, actually, there's no need to worry too much. All of this was caused by Sun Deity. That Sun Deity definitely has other methods. Also, Sun Deity has now become the new Sun God. In the future, we might worship him instead of the previous 8 Sun Gods. Rixin nodded. That's what I think too. Rixin smiled and said, after what you said, I somewhat understand. The previous 8 Sun Gods have disappeared for so many years, and to us, they only have some spiritual faith. The 8th Sun Temple needs a new Sun God, and this also means a new beginning for the 8th Sun Temple. Rixin said, and the only thing we can do now is to believe in Sun Deity. Looking back at the sun, Zhao Fu had already arrived in front of the last Sun God platform. He cut his wrist and let his blood flow out. A large amount of sun's energy entered his blood, and the blood started to crystallize. Finally, a rectangular crystal appeared in front of everyone. Zhao Fu changed the shape of the crystal, turning it into his own appearance. He then flew in front of the Sun God platform, put away the original statue, and put his own statue in it. All the statues in the last temple also shattered at that moment. Boom, boom, boom. Massive explosions sounded out as 8 waves of boundless sun's energy entered the 8 blood-red crystal statues. 8 massive golden rays of light shot into the sky, forming 8 massive pillars of light. In the extreme Yang region, the heaven and earth's energy and countless traces of fate gathered like floodwaters. The sky gave off piercing golden light and a supreme divine might, causing countless people to involuntarily kneel on the ground. They did not have any thoughts of resisting and instead knelt devoutly. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as an enormous beam of light descended from the sky. Countless traces of heaven and earth's energy and fate madly flowed into it, giving off a shocking sound as a supreme divine power slowly spread out. After a while, the ripples gradually calmed down and a crystal statue appeared on the ground. Countless god emissaries and sun god emissaries had come here, and looking at the 10 or so meter tall, cloaked statue, they immediately knelt on the ground. They understood that this was the new sun god, and they were going to rely on this statue to obtain divine power. Boom! As countless people knelt, the statue gave off boundless golden light, and waves of even more powerful sun's energy entered everyone's bodies, quickly changing their constitutions. Sensing this power, everyone immediately revealed looks of delight. This divine power was much more powerful than the divine power from before, and it was divine power fused with 8 different types of divine power. Moreover, it was divine power with an owner, and as their faith grew, the divine power they obtained would become more and more powerful. Rixin, Ryu, and the others felt at ease. In the next 8 days, the Sun God Temple would become even better. They would follow Zhao Fu, and the Sun God Temple would become even more glorious. Zhao Fu stood on the stage and gave a trace of a strange smile. Through the statue, he could sense the people kneeling in front of him. Apex. Chapter 2960. Book 1, Chapter 400. Destruction. Zhao Fu said, "Everyone rise." Hearing Zhao Fu's voice, the people kneeling on the ground looked delighted as they replied, "Yes." Rixin looked at the crystal statue in front of him and said excitedly, "Godchild, no, Lord God, we sincerely congratulate you." Zhao Fu gave a slight smile. Rixin respectfully asked, "Lord God, do you have any orders?" "Right now, the temple needs you to make decisions, and many people have come here to ask about you." Now that all of the 8 Sun God Temple statues had shattered, the 8 Sun God Temple's people did not know what to do and needed Zhao Fu's guidance. Zhao Fu nodded. I know about all of this. Wait for me to deal with the sun's matters." The Sun God emissaries smiled and nodded. Zhao Fu retracted his perception and turned to look at Riying. "What else do you need me to do?" Riying smiled as she said, What's next is to change our identities and make us your goddesses and inherit your 8 sons' god power. Hearing this, the women felt quite tempted. 8 sons' divine power was far more powerful than just one type of divine power. Moreover, as Zhao Fu's goddesses, they would be able to obtain 8 sons' divine power, which they would not have been able to obtain before. After all, not only did they not have the ability to fuse with 8 sons' god power, but their bodies would not be able to withstand it. However, they could rely on Zhao Fu to obtain this power. Ning smiled as she said, I also want to see how powerful 8 sons' god power is. Jun smiled as she said, I also want it. Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, Then let's return to the temple, and I'll grant you pure sons' god power. The women smiled and nodded. After coming to the temple, the 8 sun god temple's women stood in front of Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu stood at the front of the stage and closed his eyes as a massive power flowed out of his body. His body was covered in a layer of golden light, and 8 watermelon-sized suns appeared above his head as a boundless god power spread out. Sensing this power, the women could not help but feel a wave of fear. This power could easily kill them. Zhao Fu slowly opened his eyes, and countless rays of golden light shot out from his eyes as he stretched out a hand. The massive wave of 8 sons' divine power flooded into all of the goddesses' bodies, causing them to give delighted smiles as they absorbed the massive 8 sons' divine power. Their bodies gave off golden light, and the space between their eyebrows also gave off golden light. Golden rings appeared, and there were 8 of them in total. There was some distance between each golden ring, and there was an empty space in the center. A powerful wave of 8 sons' power spread out from their bodies. The mark formed by the 8 golden rings was Zhao Fu's god mark, and it was called the 8 sun god mark. Zhao of Zhao Sun god power, and the 8 sons disappeared. Sensing the immense power within their bodies, the women smiled. Now, their bodies could not only contain one type of sun power, but they could also contain other types of sun power. They could also go to other suns to absorb sun power. This meant that their strength would greatly increase, and their cultivations would break through and become even more powerful existences. The sun demon Robe lightly laughed as he said, Is this 8 sons' god power? It's so powerful. If I cultivate it to the peak, I might become a god. Chun said, Our god palace can only have one god, which is our husband. Even if we can become a godly spirit, we cannot become a god. Ning said softly, I've never thought about becoming a godly spirit because I know that it's impossible. However, with these 8 sons' god power as a foundation, it's possible for me to become a godly spirit. The Qilin spirit said calmly, If we become godly spirits, we'll definitely become a sun god. This might have a detrimental effect on husband. Ring nodded. If we become sun gods, we'll definitely take away a portion of the sun source energy. This will be quite disadvantageous to husband, who's a supreme sun god. The sun demon Robe pouted. Forget it then. I was just saying. By the side, Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, I'll allow you to become sun gods. The sun's power is incredibly massive, and even if you become sun gods and take a portion of it, you won't be able to take 10%. Moreover, you're the mistresses of the god palace, so becoming sun gods will make it easier for you to manage the god palace in the future. Hearing this, the women felt quite touched. The sun demon Robe leapt into Zhao Fu's embrace and flirtatiously smiled as she said, Husband, you're too good to us. Shouldn't we repay you? Zhao Fu smiled as he said, Let's talk about this after we're done. Chun was also quite touched as she said, Husband, you're good to us. We'll definitely listen to all of your orders. Ring smiled as she looked at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu truly treated them as his women, and he treated them much better than before. In actuality, they did not know that Zhao Fu would one day return to the Heaven-Awakened world. Zhao Fu did not care much about the sun's power here, and after he left, the God Palace would need them to take care of it. Zhao Fu looked at Ring at the front and smiled as he said, What else do you need me to do? Ring thought about it and said, In actuality, you can use the 8 suns to release miracles, that will attract a large number of believers. Zhao Fu nodded. I'll be leaving for a while. Ring smiled and nodded. If Zhao Fu was going to use the power of the 8 suns to release miracles, it would definitely be a grand, miraculous that would shake the entire world. Zhao Fu flew into the air and came to the center of the 8 suns. He closed his eyes and spread out his hands, and a wave of golden energy spread out. The 8 suns in the sky slightly trembled, and 8 massive waves of great sun power were released. It was already nighttime in the outer world, and countless creatures had fallen asleep, causing the world to fall silent. Suddenly, countless rays of sunlight shot out from the sky, tearing apart the night sky like a pair of formless hands. Boundless golden light shone on the ground, and the night sky became day in the blink of an eye. Countless people in the outer world woke up from their dreams and looked at the sky in shock. The sky brightened so quickly? How did time pass so quickly? The moon immortals on the moons slightly frowned. They could clearly sense these abnormal changes, and they knew that it was Zhao Fu who had done this. What was that fellow doing? Buzz. Buzz, a massive sound rang out in the sky, as if a divine bell had been struck. Sound waves that seemed to corporeal spread out, causing pain in the ears of countless creatures. The creatures that had not woken up before were woken up by this massive sound, and they all walked out to look at the golden sky. The sound became louder and louder, causing ordinary people's heads to hurt. No one could sleep with this sort of sound. Chapter 2961. Book 1, Chapter 401. Many people have been woken up by this sound and felt quite displeased. However, after seeing the scene in the sky, their anger dissipated as they realized that something big was about to happen. 8 suns appeared in the sky, giving off massive auras. A figure wearing a golden cloak appeared at the center of the 8 suns, looking like the ruler of the 8 suns. He gave off a boundless divine might, making people feel a sense of reverence and unable to look at him directly. I am a new sun god. Those who worship in me, I bestow power upon them. I heal them, and I protect them. A thunderous voice sounded out by everyone's ears, causing everyone's minds to go blank and lose the ability to think. They were filled with boundless reverence towards the godly spirit in the sky. Boom! A heaven-shaking explosion sounded out as the figure shot out countless rays of light that instantly tore through mountains and rivers, covering the entire ground. Countless people felt their bodies relax under the light, feeling unprecedentedly comfortable. Some people were delighted to find that their constitutions had become better. Some were happy to find that their strength had increased, and some smiled to find that their injuries were healing. These people all knelt on the ground and said excitedly and devoutly, "We are willing to worship the sun god and offer everything to him." After they spoke, even more golden light covered them, and their bodies became even better. Countless people from the large factions frowned. In ancient times, the 8 sun god temple was the largest faction with the most believers, but it declined because the 8 sun god disappeared. Now that a new sun god has descended, the 8 sun god temple will quickly become an incredibly terrifying faction. The new sun god is relying on the 8 suns to unleash a peerless miracle. The 8 sun god temple's rise is unstoppable, and with the 8 suns as a foundation, it is almost invincible. That's right. Even if you have higher being cultivation, if you blindly ascend to the sun, you will not be able to escape death. I wonder if the 8 sun god temple's rise is a good thing or a bad thing for us. This new sun god has fused 8 types of sun power and will become the most terrifying expert in the outer world. However, he's too mysterious, and we haven't received any information about him. That's what makes people so afraid. In the future, I think we should avoid the 8 sun god temple and try not to offend him. However, I think that the birth of a new sun god is a good thing, especially since we're fighting with the Heaven Awakened world. On the Heaven Awakened world side, countless people looked at the world covered by the golden light and felt incredibly shocked. What was going on in the outer world? Why was that light covering the entire world? This sort of ripple meant that something had happened. The various alliances quickly found this information. No matter who this new sun god is, he will be incredibly dangerous to the heaven-awakened world. His existence will be detrimental to the heaven-awakened world. We must think of a way to get rid of him. We can't let this sun god exist. Any price is fine. Sun god, sun god said. It will be even more difficult for us outsiders to find him. Heaven, God, and world, and two of, I heard that many shocking geniuses have appeared in the outer world, and all of them are incredibly terrifying. In that regard, they are far superior to our heaven-awakened world. These people are quite disadvantageous to us, so it's best to get rid of them. I have high hopes for that heaven-awakened child. With his terrifying potential, he should be able to suppress all of the outer world's geniuses by himself. I have high hopes for that heaven-awakened child. With his terrifying potential, he should be able to suppress all of the outer world's geniuses by himself. I feel the same way. No matter how terrifying the outer world's geniuses are, they can't compare to our world's heaven-awakened child. It shouldn't be a problem for him to deal with all of the outer world's geniuses by himself. It seems that the heaven-awakened child hasn't been around for a long time. I wonder what he's doing. I think he's planning to obtain the final race's Emperor Star. Right now, many higher beings are waiting at the water race for him to appear. Once the final Supreme Emperor Star awakens, he will have 9 Supreme Emperor Stars. I can't even imagine what kind of existence he will be, Zhao Fu said. Hearing you say that, I can't help but feel excited. The heaven-awakened world actually gave birth to such a terrifying monster. Not only has this shaken our world, but it has also shaken other worlds. Right now, everyone is madly searching for him. That's right, everyone is searching for him, but they haven't found anything. The heaven-awakened child has a massive amount of fate, and it's impossible to find him. We don't have to worry about his safety. They did not know that the outer world geniuses were all Zhao Fu, and the sun god was also Zhao Fu. If they knew that Zhao Fu was about to awaken the outer world's supreme Emperor Star, who knew what their expressions would be like? Back in the outer world, Zhao Fu had used up a lot of the sun's power to unleash such a massive miracle. He could do it occasionally, but he could not do it constantly. Zhao Fu also sensed a large amount of faith energy entering his body. As an innate godly spirit, he did not need faith energy to grow, so Zhao Fu did not care much about this faith energy. After all, this faith energy would be of great help to other godly spirits. The light in the sky started to dissipate, and Zhao Fu's figure disappeared. In the end, the world returned to night, but no one felt sleepy at all. They excitedly discussed this matter. Only 2 existences in the entire outer world could create such a massive miracle. The first was the sun god, and the second was the moon immortal. It just so happened that both of them were Zhao Fu. Back when Zhao Fu had fused with the 12 moons' power, it had been nighttime. If it had been daytime, the sky would have darkened, and 13 moons would have appeared in the sky. In the extreme young land, everyone grinned. They knew that the 8th sun god palace's rise was unstoppable, and the thing they had waited for countless years was finally going to happen. The extreme young land, which had been a barren place, once again became a holy land in countless people's hearts. It was the place closest to godly spirits, and people all over the world started to build temples. They used the best materials to carve Zhao Fu's image, and many worshippers knelt devoutly and worshipped him. The Sun God Palace still had massive influence in the outer world. If it wasn't for the 8 sun gods disappearing, the outer world's most powerful faction would never have changed. Zhao Fu, the new sun god, had descended, causing such a huge commotion. Everyone felt that the Sun God Palace's rise was unstoppable, and indeed, the Sun God Palace would soon become a super powerful faction. The apex. Chapter 2962. Book 1, Chapter 402. And of Book 2, Zhao Fu looked at Riying and smiled as he said, "Is everything all right now?" Riying smiled and nodded. Zhao Fu said. Then it's time for me to leave. Hearing this, the women looked at Zhao Fu reluctantly. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, those things are very important to me, and I must complete them. If I have time, I'll come back. Ying lightly nodded. The sun demon robe said flirtatiously, can you stay for one more day? Just one more day. The women looked at Zhao Fu with hopeful eyes. Zhao Fu thought about it and nodded. In the end, Zhao Fu stayed for another 3 days before leaving. Zhao Fu flew down from the sun and wanted to go to the extreme Yang region to take a look. However, there were countless experts gathered there, and Zhao Fu would be in trouble if he went. He left the god palace's matters to the goddesses, and they should be able to deal with them. After thinking about it, Zhao Fu's current goal was to collect the bronze shards and refine the insect blood. Zhao Fu did not have any clues and did not know where to find the bronze shards, so he could only raise his bloodline to the 8th stage. Zhao Fu did not have any restrictions on the evil immortal bloodline, and he just needed to refine the bloodline to level up. However, he did not have that much insect blood right now. Zhao Fu thought about it and decided to return to the dragon race first. At that moment, the dragon race's chief and the witch race's people came to the place where Long Wushui was sealed. The dignified-looking elder said courteously, if you don't want to unseal Long Wushui, you can tell us. We don't want to affect the relationship between our races because of her. Oldo smiled as he said, in actuality, we wanted to unseal Long Wushui a long time ago. It's just that the young master did not want to and felt that even his master should be punished. Since you've taken the initiative to unseal Long Wushui, we will not refuse. The scholarly-looking man smiled as he said, it's all thanks to her that the young master formed a connection with our witch race and became our greatest existence. Just because of this, we can forgive the evil dragon back then. A beautiful woman suddenly said, where's the young master? Won't he come for such a big thing? The black-clothed old man smiled and said, young master is busy right now, so he's not in the dragon territory. The beautiful woman asked curiously, what's the matter? Why haven't I seen him for such a long time? The black-clothed old man was a bit embarrassed. Of course, he couldn't tell them that the sun god, who had caused a sensation in the chaos world, was their young master. Although both races believed that Zhao Fu was their young master, both sides had their own selfish motives. The dragon patriarch didn't want to reveal Zhao Fu's true identity. The old woman could also tell and smiled as she said, the young master has his own things to do. We don't need to think too much about it. The beautiful woman nodded. The dignified old man said, let's go in together. Everyone responded and went to the deepest part of the seal. Long Wushui was still the same. His body was sealed within a spirit design. Looking at the group before him, he snorted coldly. What are you guys doing here? She felt some resentment towards the dragon race and the witch race. The witch race was the race that had sealed her, while the dragon race had never helped her, causing her to be sealed here for so many years. However, Long Wushui didn't care much about that. After all, she still had 100 or so years before she could break the seal and leave this damn place. The dignified old man smiled and said, we're here to help you undo the seal. Long Wushui had a look of confusion. Did I hear wrongly? You'll help me undo the seal? The dignified old man said, based on what you've done in the past, we can't let you out. However, you've done a great service this time, so we can help you undo the seal. Done a great service? Long Wushui had a look of confusion. The dignified old man smiled. Looks like you don't know either. Your legatee has already become the desolate ancient dragon race's young master. Long Wushui had a look of confusion. Who? The dignified old man lightly laughed. It's your legatee. You should be very happy to have such a transcendent legatee. Long Wushui thought back to how she had been bullied by Zhao Fu in the past. Right now, she wanted to tear Zhao Fu to shreds and eat him. However, she was also a little shocked in her heart. She knew that Zhao Fu wasn't from the dragon race, so how could he have become the desolate ancient dragon race's young master? Back then, she had really underestimated him. Looking at the dignified old man and the others, Long Wushui understood that she definitely couldn't reveal her true thoughts. Otherwise, these people wouldn't let her out. She would settle the score with that kid after she left. Long Wuxue smiled and said, "Yes, I didn't expect him to become the dragon race's young master." The old woman smiled and said, "Not only did he become the dragon race's young master, he also became the young master of our witch race. You're a part of the reason, so our witch race has agreed to release you. Furthermore, we won't pursue what happened in the past." Long Wuxue was shocked. That kid even became the witch race's young master? The witch race and dragon race were the two great races in the primal chaos world. If someone became the young master of one race, Long Wuxue would be shocked. However, becoming the young master of two great races was not a simple matter. Thinking of this, Long Wushue's heart became a little solemn. This kid was hiding some terrifying information. Back then, she hadn't expected that Zhao Fu would have such terrifying achievements. The old woman smiled and said, "You're the young master's master, so we won't make things difficult for you. Are you willing to reconcile with our race?" A trace of a smile appeared on Long Wushue's face. As long as she could get out, she would do anything. "Yes, I'm willing." Right now, Long Wuxue had a harmless look on her face, but in her heart, she was thinking about how to deal with the witch race in the future. She had been sealed for so many years, and the resentment in her heart wouldn't be extinguished so easily. The old woman nodded. "Then we'll help you remove the seal." Long Wuxue was secretly delighted. She had finally removed the seal. She had waited for this day for many years. As long as the seal was removed, she could immediately go and teach that kid Zhao Fu a lesson. Many experts stood beside the seal. If it was just the dragon race experts, it would take some time to remove the seal. But with the addition of the witch race experts, the seal should be removed very quickly. Boom! A huge explosion rang out. The experts poured their energy into the formation, causing it to emit countless rays of light and an extremely terrifying aura. Long Wuxue could feel the seal being removed. Her lips curled up slightly. After being sealed for so many years, she couldn't wait any longer. The seal slowly revolved, and powerful ripples spread out like a wild wind. The energy sealing Long Wuxue was rapidly decreasing. Long Wuxue wanted to remove the seal herself, but she resisted the urge to prevent any accidents from happening. Apex. Chapter 2963, Volume 1, Chapter 403. Boom. A massive explosion once again sounded out as the magic formation gave off a massive wave of power and turned into a massive ray of light that shot into the sky, causing clouds to swirl. A terrifying dragon's might spread out, causing the countless creatures in the vicinity to feel an intense fear, causing them to flee into the distance. Kacha! A loud and clear sound rang out, and the barrier around the sealed area shattered. Countless rays of sunlight shone in, and a large amount of black dragon chi also surged out. The exchange of light and chi made the scene very spectacular. In the deepest part of the sealed area, the sealing array was slowly disappearing. The powerful sealing power was also dissipating. Long Wuxue stood there, suppressing his excitement. Many experts hurriedly poured their energy into it, dissolving the power of the seal. In the end, the sealing formation completely dissipated, and the power of the seal also dissipated. Ha ha ha! Long Wuxue could feel the seal on his body dissipating, and he couldn't help but roar with laughter. Many experts also retracted their weapons. The old man smiled and said, "Congratulations! You're free now." Long Wuxue smiled and replied, After being sealed for so many years, my strength has weakened greatly. I want to find a place to recover." Now wasn't the time to fall out with so many experts. Long Wuxue believed that he was strong, but he wasn't a match for so many experts. Everyone present was at the level of a patriarch. Long Wuxue just wanted to leave this place. Once she was free, no one would be able to control her. The dignified old man said with a slight smile, "Come back to the Dragon Clan with us, and we will help you recover your strength. Also, the young master should be back soon, and he should be very happy to see you. We hope that you can come back with the young master." Will you be happy to see her? Long Wushui revealed a sinister smile in her heart. She would let that brat regret it. After some thought, Long Wushui nodded. Sure. Now that she had just broken the seal, her strength was relatively weak. The Dragon Clan was indeed the best place for her to recover. As for other matters, they could wait until she recovered. As long as she recovered, he would not have to be afraid of anything. Hearing the dignified elder's words, the old woman said, Is the young master coming back soon? We haven't seen young master for a long time. The dignified old man did not refuse. He smiled and said, Welcome to my Dragon Clan as guests. Then, everyone flew towards the Londi. By now, Zhao Fu had returned to the dragon's territory and had his subordinates collect the bloodlines. He still didn't know that Long Wushui had come out. After collecting the bloodlines, he would find a quiet place to merge them all. This time, he needed a massive number of bloodlines, and it would take some time to collect them. Zhao Fu wanted to go and meet the dragon ladies. A snow-white arm rested on Zhao Fu's shoulder from behind. Zhao Fu thought it was dragoness, so he grabbed the arm and pulled the woman into his arms out of habit. When he saw the woman in his arms, Zhao Fu jumped in fright. The person in front of him was actually Long Wushui. Wasn't she sealed? When did it come out? Long Wushui was in Zhao Fu's embrace, glaring at Zhao Fu fiercely. Brat, you're dead this time. Zhao Fu hurriedly tried to push Long Wushui away. However, Long Wushui hugged Zhao Fu tightly, not wanting to let Zhao Fu escape from her hands. The dignified old man and the others smiled when they saw this. They knew that the relationship between the two of them was not simple. Zhao Fu also noticed the dignified old man and the others, and was about to say something. Long Wushui warned, If you dare to say anything, I'll kill you right now. They won't be able to save you so quickly. Zhao Fu was being hugged by Long Wushui, so he couldn't escape. He could only be obedient. The dignified old man smiled and said, Young master, we understand that you two have a deep relationship, and you don't want your master to continue suffering. This time, we decided to release her. Seeing that you two have such a good relationship, we're happy. We didn't waste our efforts. Zhao Fu glared at the dignified old man. His heart was about to explode. Was this a good thing? This was completely killing him. Right now, Zhao Fu couldn't say anything. Long Wushui even pinched Zhao Fu, signaling Zhao Fu to look at him. Zhao Fu took in a deep breath and revealed a smile. Thank you everyone for helping my master remove the seal. The black-robed old man chuckled. Young master, you don't have to be so courteous. We're happy to help you and master. The blue-robed old man also smiled. Seeing that you two have such a good relationship, I'm a little regretful that I didn't help your master remove the seal earlier. Zhao Fu was infuriated. He wanted to curse out loud. These people had killed him, and they even dared to say such words. Long Wushui smiled as she pinched Zhao Fu's flesh. Seeing Zhao Fu like this, she felt extremely satisfied. The purple-haired old man asked curiously, Young master, why did you come back so soon? We thought that you would need to wait for a while. Zhao Fu nodded. After collecting the 8 types of sun powers, I still have many things to do. So, I came back to collect some things. Zhao Fu didn't mind, but the witch race looked at Zhao Fu in shock. 8 types of sun powers? How can there be 8 types of sun powers in this world? The person who recently shocked the entire primal chaos world and performed a great miracle was their young master. Thinking back to the sun god's cloaked appearance, wasn't that their young master? Why didn't they recognize him? Their hearts raced, and their expressions became agitated. They really didn't expect their young master to be so terrifying. Not only did he become the young master of the witch race, but he had also become a sun god. They didn't know what to say. Long Wushui also looked at Zhao Fu in shock. Although she was sealed, she had also felt that great miracle. She didn't expect it to be this man in front of her. Now that Zhao Fu was such a terrifying existence, even Long Wushui felt fear in her heart. She understood that if Zhao Fu was given some time, then Zhao Fu would definitely surpass her. Only then did Zhao Fu come back to his senses. Because the dragon race elder knew about these things, Zhao Fu did not hide anything and suddenly found out about the existence of others. The beautiful woman excitedly asked, "Young master, are you really that sun god who controls the 8 suns?" Zhao Fu nodded. The witch race elder also confirmed it, and their hearts were filled with joy. They couldn't see through Zhao Fu anymore, and they didn't know how terrifying Zhao Fu's potential was. Long Wushui couldn't help but ask, "How did you become a sun god?" Zhao Fu lightly laughed. "I'm extremely talented, can't I?" Long Wushui lightly snorted and pinched Zhao Fu to make Zhao Fu behave. Apex. Chapter 2964. Volume 1, Chapter 404. Death. The old woman smiled and said, "Young master, we would like to have a good chat with you." Zhao Fu immediately said, "Sure." Right now, Zhao Fu wanted to escape from Long Wushui. If he continued to stay in her hands, the outcome would be terrible. Long Wushui said, "I have many things to tell him." The old woman smiled and said, "And all right then, we'll come over in a bit." The black-robed old man also smiled and said, "It's been a long time since they've met. I believe they have many things to talk about. Let's all leave." Zhao Fu wanted to call out to them, as they were the only ones here. Only then would Zhao Fu be safe, as Long Wushui would not dare to do anything to him. But if they left, things might not be the same. However, Long Wushui forcefully choked Zhao Fu and said in a low voice, "If you want to die faster, just say it." Zhao Fu could only swallow his words and watch them leave. Seeing them leave, Long Wushui immediately let go of Zhao Fu and grabbed Zhao Fu's collar, lifting Zhao Fu's body up and laughing. "Kid, you can't run away now." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Let's talk. You won't get any benefits from killing me." Long Wushui snorted, "I'll kill you even if I don't get any benefits." "Kid, do you remember how you treated me in the sealed region?" Zhao Fu argued. "I gave you a chance, but you weren't willing. You can't blame me for that. I also agreed to release you." Long Wushui looked at Zhao Fu, "But now that I'm out, it's not you who undid the seal." Zhao Fu said, "That's because of me. Without me, they wouldn't have released you." Long Wushui said, "Cut the crap. I'll repay you 100-fold for how you tortured me back then." Long Wushui picked up Zhao Fu and walked toward the room. After entering the room, she threw Zhao Fu into the room and did not place any restrictions so that others would not discover what was happening here. Zhao Fu lay on the ground, thinking about how to escape. Long Wushui was like an evil person, revealing an evil smile. Zhao Fu was lying there like a little girl who was being bullied. Zhao Fu spoke up, "I can give you the power of the desolate ancient dragon ancestor. As a member of the desolate ancient dragon race, I believe you wouldn't reject this power, right?" Long Wushui stopped where she was. The power of the dragon ancestor was indeed very attractive to her. Seeing that Long Wushui was moved, Zhao Fu immediately said, "As long as you're willing to let me off, I'll give you the dragon ancestor's power." Long Wushui laughed lightly. "You're in my hands now. Can't I take whatever power I want?" Zhao Fu's expression changed. Long Wushui laughed heartily. "You've also reminded me that your body contains many shocking powers. If I absorb you, I'll definitely become the strongest expert in this world." Zhao Fu said confidently, "You won't be able to obtain the recognition of power like this. Moreover, even if you're a higher being, you won't be able to withstand the power within my body." "Oh." Long Wushui looked at Zhao Fu in disbelief and said, "Our desolate ancient dragon race's constitution can be ranked in the top 5 in the outer world, and I'm a higher being. How could I not be able to withstand that power?" Zhao Fu looked at Long Wushui and said, "You can give it a try. Right now, my constitution is just a step away from breaking through to the origin body." "What?" Long Wushui looked quite shocked. Whether it was in the outer world or the Heaven Awakened world, the origin body was a top-tier constitution. Even in the celestial world, it was quite rare. As for breaking through to the origin body, Long Wushui had never heard of such a thing before. She wondered what grade it was to break through to the origin body. It already surpassed the mortal world. Celestials might know about it, as this grade was a legend in the celestial world. Only the celestial world could have such terrifying things. To Long Wushui, the origin body was something far beyond her reach. Now that she heard that Zhao Fu wanted to break through to the origin body, she could not react in time. Zhao Fu said, I originally had the origin body, but I fused with 12 moons' power. Wait. Long Wushui cut Zhao Fu off and asked, You're saying that the 13th moon immortal is also you? The abnormalities in the outer world were also caused by you? Zhao Fu gave a faint and arrogant smile. Long Wushui said in shock, Boy, you're too terrifying. I can't let you live, or else I won't even know how I died. Zhao Fu's smile froze on his face, and he hurriedly said, You don't have to kill me. I can give you the origin dragon's power and 12 moons' power, and our enmity can be written off. If you don't believe me, I can leave a restriction in my body. Long Wushui stared at Zhao Fu and said, With that perverse constitution of yours, even if I leave a restriction in your body, it will be useless. Sooner or later, you will surpass me. To be safe, I have to kill you. But considering that I can obtain your ancestral dragon's power, I can torture you for a few hours less. We don't owe each other anything. The corners of Zhao Fu's mouth twitched. You can do that. Long Wushui laughed and said, Since my body can't handle that much power, I won't be greedy. I just want to absorb one type of ancestral dragon's power. Long Wushui smiled and walked toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu's expression was a little ugly, and he retreated. Long Wushui grabbed Zhao Fu's hand and gave a trace of an evil smile as she said, You won't be able to escape, so you might as well behave. After saying this, Long Wushui pressed a hand against Zhao Fu's abdomen, and a massive wave of power entered Zhao Fu's body. Even though Long Wushui had been prepared, she still felt incredibly shocked. She felt that Zhao Fu's body was like a boundless universe. She sensed Zhao Fu's full power, and her expression became one of shock. She took a step back, and her heart rapidly thumped. She had known that Zhao Fu was quite terrifying, but after sensing Zhao Fu's full power, she realized that she had underestimated Zhao Fu. She had never thought that Zhao Fu would be so terrifying. You're from the Heaven Awakened world? Long Wushui's eyes gave off a cold light as she asked. No one would have thought that the legatee of the 10,000 Sword City, the primordial dragon race's young lord, the witch race's young lord, the evil celestial's legatee, the 13th moon immortal, and the innate sun god would be from the Heaven Awakened world. The outer world and Heaven Awakened world were enemies, and they had fought for over 10,000 years. Zhao Fu's expression became calm as he replied, I'm from the Heaven Awakened world, and I have 8 supreme Emperor stars. If you're not afraid of the heaven-toppling fate backlash, you can give it a try. I don't believe you can withstand the backlash of 8 Emperor stars. Long Wushui's expression fell. If what Zhao Fu said was true and he had 8 Emperor stars, then Long Wushui indeed would not dare to kill him. She would not be able to withstand the fate backlash. Zhao Fu looked at Long Wushui and said, Giving you the ancestral dragon's power is the best choice. Also, don't reveal my identity or don't blame me. Chapter 2965 Book 1, Chapter 405 Destruction. Long Wushui said coldly, Are you threatening me? Zhao Fu said calmly, That's right, I'm threatening you. Don't think that I can't kill you just because you're a higher being. Even if you're a half-step celestial, you won't be able to escape. Long Wushui laughed as she said, I want to see how you'll act against me. If you have the power to kill me, you won't be threatened by me. Also, this barrier can block out all power, so it'll be useless no matter who you call. Zhao Fu slightly frowned. The method he was talking about was for the goddesses to come and kill Long Wushui. If his summoning was blocked, the goddesses would not know about it either. Long Wushui could tell what Zhao Fu was thinking and coldly laughed as she said, There's nothing you can do now, right? Zhao Fu said, Don't force me. It won't be of any benefit to you. Long Wushui laughed as she said, I won't force you. I'll absorb the dragon ancestor's power first. I won't kill you, but I'll reveal your identity. That way, everyone in the outer world will go mad and want to kill you. I can also imprison you somewhere forever and continuously torture you. Boom! A terrifying power flowed out of Zhao Fu's body as Zhao Fu immediately used the power of the 8 Supreme Emperor Stars, preparing to go all out. Long Wushui sensed that terrifying power and immediately slammed out with her palm, sending Zhao Fu flying. This also interrupted Zhao Fu's summoning of the 8 Emperor Stars. Long Wushui looked at Zhao Fu on the ground and smiled as she said, What you're doing is useless. I won't give you any chances. Zhao Fu coldly looked at Long Wushui and did not say anything as he continued to think of ways to escape. Suddenly, Long Wushui frowned, and her body gave off boundless white light as a shaman seal gradually appeared on her forehead. Long Wushui's expression fell as she felt the power within her body being sealed by a shaman energy, causing her power to quickly weaken. Long Wushui was the most familiar with the power sealing her, and she furiously yelled, Shaman spirit, I'll definitely kill you. Zhao Fu also sensed the changes in Long Wushui, as well as the power she gave off. It was Shaman Spirit's power. Back then, Shaman Spirit had not chosen to kill Long Wushui and had sealed her there. She knew that Long Wushui would break the seal sooner or later, so in order to prevent the witch race from being harmed, she had left a power in her body. This energy hadn't been injected directly by the Shaman Spirit, because Long Wushui would have sensed it. This energy had been injected into Long Wushui's body day by day through the sealing formation, so Long Wushui hadn't sensed it. If Long Wushui had not harmed the sorcerer race, she would have been fine. However, she had not only injured an ordinary sorcerer, but the young lord of the sorcerer race. The instant that Long Wushui had injured Zhao Fu, a wave of power had flowed out of Long Wushui's body, and even she could not suppress it. As chun to fu I chun I li. Come and kill me. Zhao Fu smiled. Ha ha. Venerable Shaman Spirit is the best. I knew you would do this. Didn't you say you wanted to kill me? Come and kill me now. Long Wushui glared at Zhao Fu angrily. Now that her power had been sealed, she was no different from an ordinary person. She was naturally not Zhao Fu's match. Without hesitation, Long Wushui ran outside. She had just treated Zhao Fu that way, and now that the situation had reversed, her outcome would be terrible. Zhao Fu laughed as he grabbed out. A huge force grabbed Long Wushui's body and pulled her into his embrace. He lifted Long Wushui's chin. It's too late for you to run now. Long Wushui angrily opened her mouth and bit towards Zhao Fu's hand. Zhao Fu covered her mouth with his hand and smiled as he said, Do you still remember what you just said? Long Wushui snorted coldly. Zhao Fu smiled and said, Don't worry, I won't kill you. In the future, you'll just be my servant. Long Wushui said coldly, Dream on. Zhao Fu smiled happily and said, See if I'm dreaming. A few days later, Zhao Fu looked at the rosy Long Wushui in his embrace and smiled. This time, I'll teach you a lesson. Let's see if you still dare to treat me like that in the future. Long Wushui glared at Zhao Fu. Help me undo the seal. Zhao Fu smiled and said, Do you think I'm that stupid? You won't kill me if the seal is undone? Long Wushui snorted, I can guarantee that I won't kill you. Zhao Fu smiled and said, That won't do. Also, I wasn't the one who created the seal. I have no way of undoing it for you. Long Wushui said angrily, As that slut's inheritor, why can't you undo the seal? Zhao Fu pinched Long Wushui's mouth and said coldly, Clean your mouth. Don't insult Venerable Shaman Spirit like this. Otherwise, don't blame me. Long Wushui angrily slapped Zhao Fu's chest. You've already treated me like this. What else do you want to do to me? You damn bastard. Zhao Fu snorted. It's already good enough that I'm treating you like this. Also, don't you enjoy it? Long Wushui's face turned red. Zhao Fu looked at Long Wushui's embarrassed look and revealed a smile. I really can't help you undo the seal now. In the future, I'll do it for you. Long Wushui asked when. Zhao Fu smiled and said, when I'm stronger than you. Long Wushui thought about it. With Zhao Fu's shocking potential, he would most likely surpass her soon. However, it would be quite difficult for her to kill Zhao Fu. However, she had no other choice. She did not have any power to resist, and what she was most afraid of was that Zhao Fu would continue to seal her, making it so that she would never be able to break free. Long Wushui nodded. Remember your words. Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. Long Wushui's expression eased as she lay in Zhao Fu's embrace and asked, why did you come to the outer world? Zhao Fu smiled as he replied, to awaken the outer world's supreme emperor star. Long Wushui wanted to ask how a person from the heaven-awakened world like Zhao Fu could awaken the outer world's supreme emperor star. However, after thinking about it, Zhao Fu had already obtained the 12 moons' celestial power and 8 suns' power, and he was the young master of the sorcerer race's dragon race. Perhaps he could awaken the outer world's supreme emperor star. Long Wushui nodded and said, you can give me the dragon ancestor's power now, right? Zhao Fu smiled as he said, you don't even have any power right now. Can you absorb the dragon ancestor's power? Long Wushui nodded. With the dragon ancestor's power, I can start cultivating again. I'll start as an ordinary person, and you won't have to worry about me being a threat to you. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, all right, I'll give you the dragon ancestor's power now. Zhao Fu turned one of his arms into a dragon and placed it on Long Wushui's back, sending a wave of pure dragon ancestor's power into her body. Only after sensing that there were no changes to the seal did Zhao Fu continue to send in dragon power. Apex. Chapter 2966. Book 1. Chapter 406. Dragon Ancestor's Power. Long Wushui closed her eyes as she absorbed the Dragon Ancestor's power. Sensing how strong it was, she revealed a trace of a smile. It was impossible for her to obtain this power. 10 minutes later, Zhao Fu retracted the Dragon Ancestor's power. Long Wushui opened her eyes and smiled as she looked at Zhao Fu and said, thanks. Zhao Fu smiled and said, you know how to thank people? Long Wushui lightly harumphed. Why wouldn't I? Of course, I'm in your hands now. Otherwise, I'd eat you and digest all the dragon ancestor's power in your body. Zhao Fu smiled and said, if you eat me, you'll definitely explode. Even you won't be able to handle the power in my body. Long Wushui pouted, I want to eat you. Zhao Fu ignored her words and said, I still have things to do, so I'll be leaving. Long Wushui asked, you've already collected so much primal world's power. What else do you want? Zhao Fu replied, to awaken the primal world's supreme emperor star, I need even more power. Long Wushui replied, oh. Zhao Fu stood up and left. The witch race had been waiting for a long time, and after hearing that Zhao Fu had left the room, they immediately called Zhao Fu over to their room. He came to the witch race's room. Zhao Fu looked at them and smiled as he said, I wonder if everyone has anything to say to me? The old woman smiled and said, young master, you're now the young master of the witch race, and we're willing to listen to your orders and help you. Do you think that we're outsiders? Zhao Fu shook his head. The old woman smiled and continued, since we're not outsiders, why do you have things to do for us? Zhao Fu explained, it's because the fewer people who know about this, the better. It won't be good for me if too many people know about it, and it will affect my plans. The old woman smiled and said, I can understand that, but young master, since we already know about this, can you tell us about it? Zhao Fu nodded and briefly explained his situation. He didn't tell them everything. He only told them what the people of the Dragon Clan knew. Hearing Zhao Fu's words, the shock on the sorcerer tribe members' faces grew. That's right. They had guessed that Zhao Fu's true goal was to obtain the Supreme Emperor Star. Even with their status and power, their hearts could not help but thump. To the people of the primal chaos world, this was something unimaginable and impossible to accomplish. Everyone looked at Zhao Fu. Now they understood how much they had underestimated Zhao Fu. The scholarly man smiled and said, I believe that with young master's strength, you will definitely be able to awaken this supreme emperor star. Zhao Fu nodded with a smile. The old woman smiled and asked, I wonder what young master plans to do next. Right now, they still did not know if Zhao Fu was the legendary son of Origin, so he could not tell them about the bronze shard. However, Zhao Fu needed them to provide information about the bronze shard. Right now, Zhao Fu did not have any clues about the remaining bronze shards. Zhao Fu said, I want to lure that son of Origin. I heard that he's currently collecting bronze shards. Do you have any information about the bronze shard? Everyone started to think about it seriously. The old woman replied, We don't have that information, but we will help you collect all information about the bronze shard and the son of Origin. Zhao Fu smiled and said, Thank you. The beautiful woman looked at Zhao Fu and asked, Young master, you want to obtain Origin energy? Zhao Fu nodded. Origin energy is the purest form of energy in the primal chaos world, and it is necessary to awaken the supreme emperor star. The beautiful woman reminded him, The son of Origin's identity is quite terrifying, so I want to remind young master to be careful. I'm not worried that the son of Origin will be a threat to young master, but I'm worried about the people behind the son of Origin. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, I understand. The old woman smiled as she said, Young master, when will you return to the witch race? Wu Ying, Hu Jiao, and the others greatly miss you. Zhao Fu replied, I'll go back and have a look when I'm free. Seeing that Zhao Fu did not seem to be in a rush, the old woman understood that she did not know when Zhao Fu would return, so she asked, Young master, are you interested in Hu Yu, Long Han's Hui, and Wu Rong? Hu Yu is the beautiful woman in the red dress. Long Han's Hui was the cold woman, and Wu Rong was the beautiful woman. The three women looked at the old woman strangely, but they quickly understood what she meant. Now, Zhao Fu could awaken the primal chaos world's peerless emperor star, and his bloodline would become the most powerful bloodline in the primal chaos world. No bloodline would be able to rival it, and it would be even more powerful than the primal chaos world's origin bloodline. If the witch race had such a powerful bloodline, it would be of great significance to the witch race. It would allow the witch race to become powerful, and such a bloodline could continue. Of course, ordinary people would not be able to give birth to Zhao Fu's children. Only women with powerful bloodlines would be able to do so. The old woman wanted the three women to give birth to Zhao Fu's children. In the future, even if Zhao Fu left, they could still nurture his bloodline. Zhao Fu looked at the three beautiful women and smiled as he said, That's not too good, right? The old woman smiled as she said, What's wrong with that? You're the young master, and they should serve you. If it wasn't for the fact that I'm old, I would also want to serve young master. It would be our honor. The old woman's words caused a chill to run down Zhao Fu's back. Hu Yu lightly smiled as she said, For the witch race, I'm willing. Young master, you don't have to be so courteous with us. Long Han's Hui said calmly, Young master, you don't have to take responsibility either. Our goal is to give birth to your children so that your bloodline can be passed down in the witch race. Zhao Fu helplessly smiled as he said, All right. However, you can't blame me for not being able to give birth. The three women nodded. The old woman smiled as she said, All right, we won't disturb young master anymore. The others smiled as they left, leaving only Zhao Fu and the three beautiful women in the room. Zhao Fu smiled as he walked towards them. Hu Yu gave a faint smile, Long Han's Hui looked calm, and Wu Rong looked slightly shy. 3 days later, Zhao Fu looked at the three beautiful women in his embrace and smiled as he said, I'll help you up to here. If you can't do it, you can continue to find me. Hu Yu blushed as she smiled as she said, All right. Wu Rong said shyly, You've taken advantage of us, yet you're still acting like you're not doing it. Long Hanshui's face was red as he said, How long will it be before you leave? Zhao Fu thought for a moment before replying, I'll leave soon after I've dealt with the matter. Long Han's Hui said, Then let's continue. Zhao Fu lightly smiled as he said, I still have things to do, and you don't have any strength left. Long Hansui replied, "We'll recover soon." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "It's best if you all rest. I'll come back after I've dealt with the matter." Long Hansui nodded. After Zhao Fu left the room, the three beautiful women quickly fell asleep. It was the first time they had slept so comfortably. Chapter 2967, Volume 1, Chapter 407. Battle. Just as Zhao Fu left the room, the dignified old man and the others found Zhao Fu. They knew that the witch race wanted to obtain Zhao Fu's bloodline, so they dragged Zhao Fu to the dragon race's women. They had long wanted to obtain Zhao Fu's bloodline and did not want to fall behind the witch race. Finally, Zhao Fu went to his palace, or more accurately, Long Wushui's palace. Long Yunyun happily hugged Long Wushui, while Long Qin and the others smiled and stood by the side. They had thought that they would have to wait another 100 years to see Long Wushui, but she had come out early. To them, Long Wushui was their master, so they were very happy. Seeing her subordinates, Long Wushui also smiled. Although she treated others badly, she had never mistreated them. At this moment, Zhao Fu walked in. Long Yunyun giggled and said, "Thank you, young master, for releasing master early." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "No need to thank me." Long Yunyun was a little excited as she smiled and said to Long Wushui, "Master, let me tell you, young master is very, very powerful. Not only did he become the young master of our demon dragon race, but he also became the young master of the desolate ancient dragon race. Also, young master didn't release you immediately because of the pressure from the witch race and dragon race." Long Wushui glared at Zhao Fu. She finally understood how Zhao Fu lied to her subordinates. Zhao Fu smiled and stood there, looking very shameless. Long Qin smiled and said, "Now that master is back, let's have a good celebration to welcome master back." Long Yunyun happily nodded. Zhao Fu smiled and said, I'll participate too." Long Qin smiled and said, "Then let's get people to prepare. This celebration must be big, and let everyone know that our master is back." After this matter spread, everyone was still worried. They all knew of Long Wushui's evil reputation, and they were afraid of her. But now that she was the master of the desolate ancient dragon race's young master, who wouldn't dare to give her face? Although everyone was put in a difficult position, they still came to congratulate him and gave him gifts. However, they were surprised to find that Long Wushui didn't seem to have any strength at all. This made them heave a sigh of relief. Even if Long Wushui didn't have any power left, no one would dare make things difficult for him, let alone harm him. Zhao Fu was there. Long Wushui snorted unhappily. If she didn't have any power, she wouldn't have any confidence. Although those people were afraid of her, they weren't very afraid of her. Long Yunyun and the others were still very happy that so many people had come to congratulate their master. After the celebration, Long Wushui glared at Zhao Fu. "You think of a way to help me undo the seal. Right now, I can guarantee that I won't hurt you or make things difficult for you. I just want to take back my previous strength." Zhao Fu looked at Long Wushui and laughed. "Why aren't you hurting me anymore? Give me a reason to believe you. Otherwise, how am I supposed to think of a way?" Long Wushui said angrily, "I'm already your man. Are you still not satisfied?" Zhao Fu said as he smiled. Long Wushui glared at Zhao Fu and said, "Now I'm regretting it. If I undo the seal, see how I'll teach you a lesson." Zhao Fu pulled Long Wushui into his embrace. A few hours later, Long Yunyun and Long Qin also joined in to protect their master from being bullied by Zhao Fu. After being in the Dragon Palace for so long, Zhao Fu hadn't touched them yet. A few hours later, Long Yunyun's face was red as she lay in Zhao Fu's embrace. She smiled as she looked at Zhao Fu and lightly called out, "Young master." Zhao Fu laughed and acknowledged. Long Wushui looked at Zhao Fu bitterly. "I'm really unlucky to have landed in your hands." Now, Long Wushui understood that with the relationship between her and Zhao Fu, even if she undid the seal, she wouldn't be able to kill Zhao Fu. She also didn't have such thoughts. She just wanted to regain her strength and not be bullied by Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu chuckled and said, "How can I be unlucky? It should be good luck. Without me, you wouldn't have come out so quickly. Without me, you wouldn't have obtained the power of the dragon ancestor. In the future, I'll still be the supreme existence in the primal chaos world." Long Wuxue snorted and laid in Zhao Fu's embrace without saying a word. She acknowledged Zhao Fu on this point. In her heart, she also felt that she couldn't compare to an existence like Zhao Fu. Long Qin smiled and said, "I don't have any other thoughts. I just want to serve young master and master every day." Long Yinyan said cutely, "Me too." Zhao Fu looked at the two of them and said with a slight smile, "I might have to leave soon." Long Yinyan pouted and asked, "So soon? Young master, didn't you just return?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, The dragon race has already helped me collect the blood of 1,000,000 races, and we've also received some news about bronze shards. It seems that the Eastern Alliance has some bronze shards. I need to go and take a look." Long Wuxue reminded, "Back then, the number one evil immortal and the Eastern Alliance had a deep-seated enmity. Right now, the Eastern Alliance is desperately searching for you in order to get rid of you. It'll be very dangerous for you to go to the Eastern Alliance." Zhao Fu nodded, "But the remaining bronze shards might be there. I need to go. Once the evil immortal's bloodline reaches the great perfection and my origin equipment is repaired, that'll be the time for me to awaken my supreme Emperor Star." Long Wuxue said, "I believe you on this point, but I can't help you right now." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "In actuality, there's no need. If there was, I could have called the goddess and moon immortal long ago." Long Wuxue felt quite jealous as she pinched Zhao Fu. "You scum of the human world, you won't let off any woman." Zhao Fu chuckled as he said, "Isn't it because of my charm? You become my woman as well." Long Wushue's face became slightly red as she said, "After you awaken your supreme Emperor Star, will you be going back to the Heaven Awakened world?" Zhao Fu nodded. "That's my home. It's where my foundation is. There are countless subordinates and people I'm familiar with, so I definitely need to go back." Long Wuxue said disappointedly, "I won't be going to the Heaven Awakened world with you." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "That's all right. Just stay in the Dragon Palace and recover your strength. After you've fully recovered, you can come to the Heaven Awakened world to find me." Long Wuxue nodded. Long Yinyan looked at Zhao Fu with a resolute gaze and said, "Young master, I'll also come to find you. I want to see what kind of world young master lives in." Long Qin smiled as she said, "I'll also go and serve young master and master." Zhao Fu nodded and smiled as he said, "The world I live in is a very beautiful place and much more interesting than the outer world. I welcome you all to come at any time." After cuddling for a while, Zhao Fu continued on his journey to the Eastern Region Alliance. Of course, there was still something he had to take care of, which was fusing 1,000,000 bloodlines. Chapter 2968, Volume 1, Chapter 408. Heavenly Zhao Fu first found a hidden region by himself, because breaking through to level 7 and level 8 of the evil celestial bloodline would definitely cause terrifying abnormal signs. Zhao Fu sat cross-legged on a massive boulder and started to refine his bloodline under the blue sky and white clouds. Glass bottles continuously flew out from his body and scattered around Zhao Fu's body. More and more glass bottles flew out and lined up around Zhao Fu's body in an orderly manner, covering the surrounding tens of thousands of meters. Each of the glass bottles contained bright red blood and gave off a faint blood-red light, creating a majestic scene. Bang, bang, bang. Sounds rang out as countless glass bottles shattered and large amounts of blood gathered together, forming a sea of blood as a massive bloody stench spread out. There were 1,000,000 types of bloodlines here. The sea of blood started to spin around Zhao Fu, forming a massive blood-red vortex, and a terrifying aura spread out, causing the heavens and earth to change colors. Zhao Fu slowly closed his eyes. Whoosh! Large amounts of blood flowed towards Zhao Fu and madly flowed into Zhao Fu's body, as if the water had found a hole. Even though the blood had disappeared, the terrifying aura that it gave off became even more terrifying, and the changes in the heavens and earth became even more intense. The sea of blood flowed into Zhao Fu's body, and a faint blood-red aura rose up from Zhao Fu's body and floated into the sky. Within Zhao Fu's body, the 1,000,000 bloodlines turned into different forms. There were insects, birds, humans, fish, beasts, and others, forming a black mass that stretched as far as the eye could see. They gave off a world-shaking aura, as if they could conquer the heavens. Zhao Fu stood at the center of the countless creatures by himself, not showing any fear in the face of the ocean of creatures. It was as if he was a god that ruled over the heavens and earth. Boom! A shocking explosion sounded out as the countless insects and beasts flooded out like a flood, giving off fearless auras as they charged toward Zhao Fu, as if nothing could stop them. Zhao Fu gave a faint smile, and a boundless power spread out. Zhao Fu gave off a golden light and a white light. 8 suns and 12 moons appeared in the sky, emitting countless rays of light that enveloped the entire space. The sea of insect beasts was unstoppable like a flood. Zhao Fu stretched out a hand and pressed in the air. Boom! A sound that sounded like heaven and earth shattering rang out. An extremely terrifying power descended from the sky. Countless insects were instantly crushed and blood splattered everywhere. A huge pool of blood immediately appeared below Zhao Fu, sucking in all the shattered insect beasts. The remaining bug beasts continued to sweep toward Zhao Fu with a terrifying aura. Zhao Fu stretched out his hand and pushed out, causing a massive golden dragon to shoot out. It gave off a power that seemed to be able to pierce through everything as it charged forward, and a large number of bugs in front of it were crushed by the golden dragon. On the other side, the bug beasts continued to rush toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu waved his hand, and countless swords shot out. Countless bug beasts' bodies were pierced by the swords, and the bug beasts were unable to resist at all. Countless broken limbs, corpses, and blood splattered everywhere. The bug beasts in the last direction continued to rush towards Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu slapped out with his palm, and countless curse runes shot out like bullets, piercing through the bug beast bodies. Blood splattered everywhere, and a large number of bug beast bodies were riddled with holes. In just moments, Zhao Fu had easily dealt with the countless bug beasts. Countless broken corpses and blood fell like rain into the massive pool of blood. The massive pool of blood gave off a terrifying refining power, instantly refining the countless broken corpses that had fallen into the pool of blood. Even though so many broken corpses had fallen in, the pool of blood did not seem to have any problems at all. As the pool of blood refined the corpses, Zhao Fu felt a terrifying bloodline power flow over. Boom! Outside the body space, Zhao Fu's body shot out an enormous blood-red beam of light, giving off immense power as it shot into the sky. Heaven and earth power quickly gathered, forming an enormous blood-red vortex. Countless bug images appeared in the sky. There were centipedes, earthworms, butterflies, moths, scorpions, ants, locusts, mosquitoes, slugs. The countless bug images covered the sky, and it was impossible to count how many there were. They all flew towards Zhao Fu's direction, and they were not very fast. However, they gave off a terrifying aura, causing people's hairs to stand on end. Everyone in the outer world looked at the bugs in the sky with a strange look on their faces. What's going on? Why have so many bug images suddenly appeared? Just looking at them makes my back feel cold. I'm not sure, but something big must have happened in that direction for so many bugs to gather. So many big things have happened recently. The matter with the new sun god hasn't even been settled, and now such a big anomaly has appeared. This isn't something small figures like us can control. It's better for us to live honestly and not think too much about it. That's where you're wrong. For a phenomenon of this level, who knows how many regions it covers? If something happens and we don't pay attention, we might not even know how we died. That's right. I can sense the terrifying auras that those bugs are giving off. It's definitely not a power that we can fight against. I think those higher-ups should know what happened. Why don't we go ask them? Countless experts did indeed know what had happened, but their expressions did not relax at all. Instead, they had solemn looks on their faces because they knew how serious this matter was. The most solemn among them was the Eastern Alliance. Just who is the inheritor of the first evil immortal? Isn't his leveling speed a bit too fast? He's completely surpassed the first evil immortal back then. Back then, although the first evil immortal was extremely terrifying, it took him many years to raise his bloodline to that level. However, his inheritor didn't even use a tenth of the time he did. This means that his inheritor is even more terrifying than the first evil immortal. Now, things have become very difficult. Our Eastern Alliance might have to face an unprecedentedly great enemy. If we don't handle it well, our Eastern Alliance might suffer another blow. Although the evil immortal's bloodline is about to reach the 7th stage, it hasn't reached the final stage yet, so we still have a chance. If it reaches the final stage, we won't have any chance at all. We can only wait for him to come knocking on our door. Chapter 2969, Volume 1. Chapter 409-inch. That is why we must take advantage of the fact that this successor has yet to reach the final stage of the evil immortal stage to find him by hook or by crook. We absolutely cannot allow him to reach the final stage. That's right. I don't want what happened back then to happen again. In order to kill off the evil immortal back then, the price we have to pay is too great. Right now, we need to get rid of the evil immortal successor as our first priority. As for the new sun god, new moon immortal, and the children of essence, there's no need to worry about anything else. If we don't get rid of this, I won't be able to eat or sleep in peace. Countless experts of the Eastern Alliance gave out orders, and some of the people who were closer immediately flew towards the place where the insect beasts were gathered. They wanted to find the successor of the evil immortal and think of all ways to get rid of him. City of 10,000 swordsmen, sword cultivators looked at the densely packed bug beasts in the sky with solemn expressions. A white-robed old man said, "Those evil immortal legacies have already raised the evil immortal's bloodline to the 7th stage. I'm sure that he will definitely cause a calamity, just like the first evil immortal did in the past. If our city of 10,000 swords can do so, we must stop him as well to avoid excessive casualties." A middle-aged man with fire-red hair and giving off a fiery sword chi nodded and said, "That's right. The catastrophe caused by the evil immortal back then was too intense. We can't let it happen a second time." A handsome young man in blue clothes said, "We might not have to personally act. Don't forget that our city of 10,000 swords has also given birth to a shocking genius. He is the founder of the 10,000 swords training hard, and has grasped 3 supreme sword intents. If he were to act, I believe that we might not lose." The white-clothed old man thought for a moment before saying, Things are indeed different now. Back then, no one could stop the evil immortal. However, our city of 10,000 swords master has been born. He can stop the calamity that the evil immortal's legatee brought about." An azure-robed, gentle-looking middle-aged man said, "It's not just our city of 10,000 swords master. There's also the new sun god, the new moon immortal, and the origin child. Which one of them isn't terrifying? With their existence, I think it will be very difficult for what happened back then to happen again." The white-clothed old man sighed. "This is an era where world-shaking geniuses are born. With their birth, we are almost not qualified to compare with them. This is an era where they are the masters." Dragonland. Long Union looked at the sky and said happily, "That's great. Our young master's immortal evil bloodline has improved." Long Wuxue said calmly, "What's the big deal? That fellow has fused with the power of 8 suns, and the immortal evil bloodline is no longer restricted. He can directly rise to the peak." Long Union still said in admiration, "Young master is too amazing." Long Wuxue thought about it and said, "Now, I also find it strange. What kind of existence is he? How could this world give birth to someone like him? There must be something hidden behind him that he doesn't even know about. Long Qin smiled and said, I feel that even if something happens to him, he will have master and other experts to help him. There shouldn't be much of a problem. Long Wushuwei said with a trace of jealousy, I don't have the ability to help him now, but other women will help him. Who knows how many women that bastard has? If it was according to my previous personality, I would definitely castrate him. Long Qin chuckled and said, Master, are you sure you want to do this? What will you do in the future? Long Union blushed and said, Master, don't. If you do that to the young master, what will we do in the future? And I think master likes it very much. Long Wushuwei blushed and pinched Long Union's cheeks. I'm not. Long Qin looked at the sky and said, the young master will most likely refine all of his bloodline before heading to the Eastern Alliance. I hope that nothing will happen to him. Long Wushuwei's expression was somewhat solemn. That's not necessarily true. However, with the boundless fate within him, there shouldn't be any danger to his life. I hope that everything will go smoothly for him. Long Qin said teasingly, so master also cares about the young master. Long Wushuwei's face became red and she explained, I don't. How could I care about that bastard? Just watch. Who knows how many women he'll take in during this trip to the Eastern Alliance. Long Yunyun giggled and said, Master, I'm sure that no matter how many women the young master takes in, he'll still like you. No one can compare to master's charm. Long Wushuwei felt quite delighted and smiled. Finally, he turned to look at Zhao Fu. In the sky, the massive blood-red vortex was replaced by countless insect shadows, becoming a massive insect shadow vortex that covered the surrounding hundreds of thousands of kilometers. Moreover, insect shadows continuously flew over from all directions, joining the massive vortex. The vortex slowly spun, giving off an aura that seemed to shake the heavens and earth. That evil, crazy, twisted, and bloody aura also spread out like a tornado. All of the creatures in this region had long since fled in fear, not daring to stay for even a second longer. The countless insect shadows continued to gather towards the massive insect shadow vortex, becoming larger and larger, and the aura they gave off became more and more terrifying. That region seemed to be suppressed by a massive gravitational force, making it difficult for people to breathe. In the end, a large number of insect shadows gathered, but there were still a few that were still gathering in that direction. The insect shadow vortex also covered that region, and from afar, it looked like it was covered by a layer of haze. That terrifying aura made people feel incredibly uneasy. Boom! A shocking explosion sounded out as the massive vortex's tail descended and drilled into Zhao Fu's body, sending a terrifying wave of power into Zhao Fu's body. Zhao Fu quickly absorbed this terrifying power. In actuality, ordinary peak Dao realm experts would not be able to withstand this vortex's power, and their bodies would be torn to shreds. However, Zhao Fu's body was too monstrous, and he could easily withstand this power. As the power continuously flowed in, the power that Zhao Fu's body gave off became more and more terrifying, especially the bloodline power. In the end, the vortex completely entered Zhao Fu's body, and only then did Zhao Fu successfully raise the evil celestial bloodline to stage 7. At this stage, Zhao Fu's bloodline was already quite terrifying, and it had reached the legendary divine bloodline. Because of this, Zhao Fu's 8 forbidden blood arts power became a type of divine power, and it was dozens of times more powerful than before. This was especially so for the ability to create life. Zhao Fu no longer relied on his flesh and blood, and he could directly use wind, rain, lightning, and other elements to create life from nothingness. However, Zhao Fu was not satisfied. Even though the stage 7 evil celestial bloodline was powerful, it was not the final stage. The final evil celestial bloodline was truly terrifying, and only then would he be able to unleash the 8 forbidden blood arts' full power. Chapter 2970, Volume 1, Chapter 410, Chaos Xiao Fu looked towards the sky as a massive power descended from the sky. Blood-red waves of light continuously spread out, causing the sky to become blood-red. This blood-red color quickly spread out like a blood-red cloth. Now that Xiao Fu was about to break through to the evil immortal stage 8, which was the final stage of the evil immortal bloodline, the abnormal signs would be even greater. Everyone had thought that the abnormal signs would disappear and had been passionately discussing this matter. However, they had never thought that the boundless blood-red color would spread out from the horizon, bringing with it a dense, evil, and berserk aura. This caused countless people to look shocked. They had thought that the evil immortal's legatee had only just broken through to stage 7 and would need at least a few years to break through to stage 8. They had never thought that Xiao Fu would immediately break through to stage 8. The expressions of the Eastern Alliance's people became quite grim. They had thought that they would have a chance to stop Xiao Fu, but they did not have a chance at all. The blood-red color continued to spread out, covering most of the sky in the primal chaos world. Only some of the outer regions were not covered, but those at the outer regions could see the blood-red color in the distance. The ominous aura made them feel uneasy. Boom! A shocking sound rang out as boundless heaven and earth power gathered in the sky. The blood-red sky started to go through terrifying changes, turning into a massive blood-red piece of meat. It looked as if the sky was covered by a massive layer of meat. The piece of meat was still slowly squirming and giving off an extremely terrifying aura, causing everyone's hairs to stand on end and their bodies to feel icy cold. Whether it was in the sky or on the ground, everyone could sense this terrifying aura. December. Yu Xianzi frowned as she looked at the heaven-toppling blood-red light, which had already affected the 12 white moons. From afar, the 12 moons stood on the boundless blood-red light. If it was not for the fact that the 12 moons contained the supreme power of the heaven and earth, they might have been dyed blood-red. Yu Xianzi said in shock, "What happened in the lower realm? Why is this heaven-toppling blood-red light shooting up to the moons?" Yu Shumin replied seriously, "This is the terrifying abnormal signs caused by the evil immortal's legatee raising the evil immortal bloodline to the final stage." Yu Shumin said in shock, "I remember that the legatee only appeared a few years ago. How did he raise the evil immortal bloodline to the final stage in such a short time?" Yu Shumin shook her head. "No one knows. Probably only the inheritor of the evil immortal knows." Yu Yao said worriedly, "With the appearance of such a terrifying person, the chaos world will be engulfed in a bloodbath." Back then, our 12 moons were affected as well. Yu Wuxing nodded. The appearance of such a person is not a good thing for the chaos world. Furthermore, he might be even more terrifying than the previous evil immortal. The moon's saintess smiled and said, "We are now half immortals and have mastered 12 essence moon power. We shouldn't have to fear him. Even if we can't beat that person, we still have that fella, right? With him around, he will definitely be able to suppress this evil immortal." Yu Xianzi's expression eased as she said, "With that guy around, he can indeed suppress such an evil person. Now that he has obtained the power of 12 moons and 8 moons, who knows what he is doing?" 8 suns. The 8 forbidden blood techniques' initial power came from the 8 suns' essence power. Now that the evil immortal bloodline had reached its final stage, the 8 suns were greatly affected. The sun space was filled with blood-red light, and the 8 suns all gave off a faint blood-red light, giving off an extremely terrifying aura. The sun demon Raymond called out unhappily, "What's going on?" Ri Ying said seriously, "It's that person's legatee who raised the evil immortal bloodline to the 8th stage." Ri Ning looked at the blood-red space and said seriously, "That person is the only person who has awakened us from our slumber." Ri Ning said, "I somewhat admire him. He used the 8 moons' essence power as a foundation to create an extremely evil and crazy power that is not any weaker than the true essence power of the sun." Ri Ning looked at the women and asked, "Then what should we do?" Ri Yanagi said, "Just like last time, there's no need to care. After all, no matter what he does on the ground, it won't affect us on the suns. Reing said, "It's different now. We're currently establishing the Supreme God Palace. Even though we won't be affected, the believers on the ground will definitely be affected." Reing looked at Reing and asked, "What do you think we should do?" Reing replied, "Even though that person has some karma with us 8 moons, if he affects the Supreme God Palace, we can only get rid of him ourselves. I don't want anyone to ruin our plans." Reing nodded. "That's all we can do now." Whether it was the people from the sun, moon, or the others, none of them knew that it was Zhao Fu who had caused such a massive abnormal sign, and Zhao Fu had not told them about it either. This power was simply too berserk and twisted, and they had not sensed that it was Zhao Fu. The blood-red sky continued to change as boundless heaven and earth power flowed into the blood-red flesh. The flesh continued to squirm, giving off an extremely terrifying aura. Everyone felt a massive pressure. Even though the 7th-stage abnormal sign had been massive, it had not affected them. Now, they could clearly sense how terrifying this power was. It was a power that they could not withstand. The light had already dimmed, and the ground had become quite eerie. The countless birds and beasts were silent, not daring to make a single sound. They were instinctively afraid. On the battlefield at the edge of the world, countless people from the heaven-awakened world watched as the outer world was covered by a layer of flesh. The berserk and bloody aura that flooded over made them feel incredibly uneasy. How could there be such a terrifying, abnormal sign in the outer world? Could it be that they're plotting something to deal with the heaven-awakened world? No, I just received news that it was caused by the outer world's evil celestial's legatee. Who is that evil celestial's legatee? How could he cause such a massive, abnormal sign? I don't know the details, but he's most likely an extremely terrifying existence. The previous generation's evil celestial heavily injured the Eastern Continent Alliance, causing them to lose a large number of experts. I heard that this generation's evil celestial's legatee is even more terrifying. This is a good thing for us. It's best for the outer world to consume its own power. That's not necessarily the case. The evil celestial's legatee is from the outer world, and sooner or later, he'll come to deal with the heaven-awakened world and cause massive casualties. We need to keep a close eye on people like that, and if there's a need, we can kill them. There have been so many shocking geniuses appearing in the outer world recently. I don't even know what to say. Last time, a new sun god and a new moon immortal were born. If this continues, it'll be quite disadvantageous for us. Even though the heaven-awakened sun is terrifying, he can't stop so many geniuses. Chapter 2971, Volume 1, Chapter 411. Death. Countless loud hissing sounds rang out from the sky, piercing the ears of countless people. One after another, bugs crawled out from the layer of flesh. Only half of them crawled out, leaving the other half inside. There were flies, earthworms, spiders, worms, centipedes, aphids, butterflies, scorpions, fleas, leeches. The countless bugs twisted their bodies in the sky and hissed out. It was an extremely horrifying scene. When the people on the ground saw that, some of them were so frightened that they stood rooted to the spot, feeling as though their bodies had fallen into an icy cavern. Some were so frightened that they collapsed to the ground, unable to move at all as their bodies continued to tremble. Eastern Alliance. Can anyone tell me what to do? The phenomenon caused by the evil immortal successor is even scarier than the evil immortals. To personally feel this terrifying power, a trace of fear has arisen from the depths of my heart. This is something very rare for me. There's no other way now. He has already reached the 8th stage of the evil immortal's bloodline. It won't be long before he becomes the new evil immortal. Can't we find him before he becomes the new evil immortal? It's useless. His evil immortal's bloodline has reached the final stage. As long as he hides himself, ordinary immortals will not be able to find him, let alone people like us. Is he really that powerful? Even immortals can't find him? Of course. Otherwise, why would we lose our chance when he reaches the final stage of the evil immortal's bloodline? That's the reason. When he was at the 7th stage, we might have been able to find him. But now, even if he were to appear before us, we wouldn't be able to find him. Now we're in trouble. Our Eastern Alliance might have to face the biggest crisis in our history. There's no point in searching for him. Right now, we can only choose to defend with all our might. Right now, we can only hope that the evil immortal successor does not hold too much of a grudge against our Eastern Alliance. Otherwise, the consequences will be unimaginable. Seated on a boulder, Zhao Fu's face was calm as he looked at the countless bugs in the sky. Silence. Zhao Fu uttered out one word, and the countless bugs in the sky instantly quietened down. It was as though they had received the command of their ruler. Their eyes turned to look at Zhao Fu, filled with respect and fear. Everyone saw that the countless insects had suddenly quietened down, and their eyes were all looking in a certain direction. They understood that that direction was where the evil immortal's successor was. Only he had the ability to silence countless insects. Some people flew in that direction, while others stayed away from that area. Zhao Fu slowly closed his eyes. The countless insects in the sky started to gather their power, and their mouths gave off a blood-red light. An ultimate power spread out, seeming to be able to destroy this world. The people on the ground also felt extreme danger. Countless people hid in their houses, and countless birds and beasts instinctively searched for various places to hide. Shio, shio, shio. Countless sounds rang out as the insects shot out blood-red beams of light from their mouths. They contained immense power and shook the heavens and earth as they shot toward Zhao Fu. Rays of blood-red light continuously entered Zhao Fu's body, and Zhao Fu absorbed massive amounts of power. His body was inundated by countless rays of blood-red light, and that place was covered by blood-red light as time seemed to stop. Countless blood-red beams of light shot into Zhao Fu's body, and a boundless bloodline power flowed out. Zhao Fu's body gave off a blood-red light as the evil immortal Zhao Fu had risen to stage 8. Zhao Fu's body also started to change. An insect horn grew out of Zhao Fu's head, and his eyes became a pair of blood-red insect eyes. His hair became multicolored, and 12 pairs of thin, transparent insect wings grew out of his back. His hands and feet became insect claws, and a black insect tail grew out of his back. The evil immortal bloodline was an extremely berserk, evil, and twisted power, and it caused massive changes to the body. Normally, it was suppressed by Zhao Fu's constitution, which was why there were not many changes. Now that the evil immortal bloodline had reached its final stage, Zhao Fu was unable to suppress the changes, which was why Zhao Fu had become like this. This state was called the evil immortal state, and back then, the evil immortal had also become like this. It was a pity that this bloodline was only at the peak of the saint tier, and it was just a trace away from breaking through to the evil immortal essence bloodline. If it broke through, Zhao Fu would possess the first-generation evil immortal essence bloodline. The evil immortal essence bloodline was something that the evil immortal had been chasing after back then, but it was a pity that he had not been able to achieve it. Zhao Fu could understand how much effort he had put into obtaining the first-generation evil immortal essence bloodline. It was relatively easier to obtain the evil immortal essence bloodline, such as the dragon essence bloodline. However, the difference in power between the dragon essence bloodline and the evil immortal essence bloodline was massive, and it could be said that they were not on the same level. Swish, swish, swish. 8 blood-red, twisted runes shot out from within Zhao Fu's body, and they spread out in 8 different directions around Zhao Fu. This was the 8 forbidden blood art. Now that Zhao Fu's evil immortal essence bloodline had reached its final stage, the 8 forbidden blood art was about to go through its final transformation, and Zhao Fu would now possess the 8 forbidden blood art's true power. Zhao Fu stretched out a hand, and a crack appeared on his palm, causing a wave of blood to flow out. It turned into 8 blood-red orbs and shot towards the 8 twisted runes. The 8 blood-red runes absorbed the 8 orbs of blood and gave off shocking power. They turned into 8 rays of blood-red light and shot into the sky, entering the massive layer of flesh. Countless insects instantly died, their bodies turning into ashes and dissipating. When everyone saw this scene, they still didn't know what the reason was. Rumble, a massive sound rang out in the sky as the layer of flesh violently twisted. Waves of even more terrifying aura spread out, causing everyone to feel immense fear. Bang, bang, bang. 8 muffled sounds rang out in all directions as 8 massive holes appeared in the layer of flesh in the sky. At the center of each hole was a small blood-red insect, and each of them looked slightly different. They were centipedes, scorpions, dragonflies, butterflies, beetles, earthworms, leeches, and aphids. The blood-red layer of flesh in the sky started to dissipate, and the 8 small blood-red insects flew down from the sky and returned to Zhao Fu's body, turning back into the 8 twisted runes. Zhao Fu could sense that the 8 forbidden blood art's power was now over 100 times greater than before. It was just a matter of quality and quantity, but the 8 forbidden blood art now had life, which was quite rare. For example, when Zhao Fu had other powers, they did not have life. Is this the 8 forbidden blood art's true power? Zhao Fu gave a trace of smile. He was quite satisfied with this power. It was no weaker than source energy. If Zhao Fu could raise the evil immortal essence bloodline to the source bloodline, the 8 forbidden blood art would be even more powerful than ordinary source energy. Chapter 2972. Book 1, Chapter 412. Death because his bloodline had reached the final stage. Zhao Fu had obtained all of the evil celestial's abilities. As long as the evil celestial had any abilities, Zhao Fu had them all. The first was void form heaven and earth, turning himself into heaven and earth power and disappearing. He could fuse with heaven and earth, becoming immune to all attacks and hiding from celestial senses. However, in this state, Zhao Fu did not have any attack power. Zhao Fu valued this quite a bit, because he often had to be on guard against all sorts of experts. He did not dare to go to places with many experts, such as last time when many experts had gathered at the land of extreme yawn. Because there were too many experts there, Zhao Fu did not choose to go back. Now that Zhao Fu could hide from celestials, he naturally became much bolder. He did not have to worry about being caught by some experts, and his safety was greatly improved. This ability was the evil celestial's greatest life-saving method, and it was also the greatest help to Zhao Fu. Immunity to all attacks was most likely because Zhao Fu's body had turned into nothingness, meaning that he did not exist in this world. Ordinary attacks would not be able to harm him, but some powers that contained heaven and earth laws might be able to harm him. Zhao Fu tested it out. 8 blood-colored twisting runes appeared within Zhao Fu's body, and Zhao Fu's body turned into countless rainbow-colored energies that scattered in all directions. The energies fused into the air, the earth, the plants, and finally disappeared. Now, Zhao Fu was like a grass, a flower, a stone, the earth, or the sky. It gave Zhao Fu a wondrous feeling. It was as if he was this world, or perhaps this world was him. In this state, ordinary attacks would destroy plants, but they would not be able to harm Zhao Fu. This was because Zhao Fu had fused with heaven and earth itself, not just a single plant. If a plant was destroyed, the energy that Zhao Fu had turned into would be transferred to another plant, to a stone, or even to a bird or insect on a plant. Objects could be destroyed, but the energy would not disappear. This was the real reason why he was immune to all attacks and could evade the senses of immortals. Zhao Fu's existence was like the law of nature, untraceable and unkillable. Then, Zhao Fu tried to change it because he couldn't do anything in this state. The energy Zhao Fu had transformed into had already fused with the plants on the ground. Zhao Fu was trying to grow a small tree into a big tree. The small tree seemed to have received a great power and quickly grew into a 10-meter tall tree. It was lush and full of life. After discovering that it could be done, Zhao Fu revealed a smile. However, it needed to be linked with the small tree. Although it could make the small tree grow quickly if someone attacked the small tree, he would also suffer some damage. He didn't care about anything and just existed in the void. This was the safest state. Other attacks couldn't reach him, and if he wanted to attack, he would have to bear some danger. The second one was called the Insect Dispelling Curse. This was a terrifying curse, and it was very harmful to one's body. After all, the material used to cast the curse was one's own body, and the more bodies one used to cast the curse, the more powerful the curse would be. Most importantly, it could even kill people above one's level. An Emperor Heaven Realm expert could easily kill a Void Realm expert. A Void Realm expert could easily kill a Spirit Realm expert, and a Tao Realm expert could even kill a higher being. Back then, the evil celestial had used the rest of his body below his head to cast this terrifying curse. At the Void Realm, he had been able to kill a higher being, and after becoming a higher being, he had been able to use his arm to kill a half-step celestial. After becoming an existence like the evil celestial, even if he was blasted into bits, he would not be able to kill him. As such, using the rest of his body below his head to cast the curse was no problem. Zhao Fu had also obtained this ability, and ordinary methods would not be able to kill Zhao Fu. For example, if one dug out Zhao Fu's heart and chopped off his head, he would not die. Only special methods would be able to kill Zhao Fu. After all, using one's own body to cast the curse would cause one to lose a large amount of essence, blood, and source energy, so it was best not to use this method unless it was necessary. The third ability was quite interesting, and it was called the 8 Restriction Blood Thrall. Zhao Fu's 8 blood-red runes already possessed life, and they could give birth to 8 insect eggs in people's bodies. These insect eggs continuously stimulated that person's potential and talent, allowing an ordinary person to become a genius. Moreover, these insect eggs also contained the 8 Restriction Blood Arts power. Anyone who obtained these insect eggs would immediately become the ruler of the world and would also obtain great power. However, this did not come without a price. The bug egg would stimulate a person's potential, and it would also absorb the person's essence. In the end, it would even swallow the person whole. When the bug egg hatched, the person would become an 8 Forbidden Blood Thrall, a slave that would only listen to orders. This method could nurture an ordinary person into a very powerful servant, and if a genius was implanted with an insect egg, the 8 Restriction Blood Thrall would become even more powerful. Because the 8 Restriction Blood Art was an insect, it inherited some of the characteristics of insects, which was that it could produce a large number of insect eggs. Back then, the evil immortal had created 1,000,000 8 Restriction Blood Thralls, and they were the evil immortal's main battle force, causing a large number of casualties in the Primal Chaos world. The Eastern Continent Alliance had paid a huge price to get rid of these 8 Restriction Blood Thralls. Zhao Fu did not plan on using this method. He had come to the Primal Chaos world for the Emperor's Star, and he did not have the time or the heart to nurture 8 Restriction Blood Thralls. The fourth ability was 100 million Restriction Blood Art. This ability could suppress other bloodlines or suppress other people's bloodlines. No matter what person or creature it was, as long as they had blood, they would be suppressed by Zhao Fu's bloodline, unless their bloodline was much higher than Zhao Fu's. Now that Zhao Fu's evil immortal bloodline was at the peak of the Saint grade, ordinary source bloodlines would also be suppressed by the evil immortal bloodline. This suppression would weaken other creatures' power, affect their confidence, and even cause some creatures with lower bloodlines to submit. In the future, when Zhao Fu fought with someone, he could create a bloodline that could suppress that person. For example, if the Sun race had the Sun bloodline, Zhao Fu's bloodline would create a darkness bloodline that could suppress the Sun bloodline, and Zhao Fu would also have a powerful darkness bloodline. Another example was if Zhao Fu fought against a dragon race. His bloodline would create a dragon slayer bloodline, which would greatly suppress the dragon race, and Zhao Fu would also have the power of a dragon slayer. Another example was if Zhao Fu fought against a demon. His bloodline would become an angel bloodline, and Zhao Fu would also have the power of an angel bloodline. This ability could be said to be quite powerful, and it could suppress almost any bloodline. However, there was a limit, and that was if one wanted to suppress an opponent's bloodline, they would first need to devour the opponent's blood. Only then would they be able to create a bloodline that could suppress the opponent. Chapter 2973. Book 1. Zhao Fu's bloodline was quite rare in other worlds. This kind of bloodline ability was quite rare in other worlds, and even though Zhao Fu had a bloodline that was even more powerful than the evil celestial bloodline, he did not use this ability. Zhao Fu was quite interested in this ability, so he drank a bottle of Icebird's blood and activated the bloodline ability. A flame vortex immediately appeared within Zhao Fu's body, and his bloodline continuously changed, becoming like magma. A massive wave of heat flowed out of Zhao Fu's body, and Zhao Fu's body also gave off flames. Now, the power that Zhao Fu gave off and the bloodline's aura made people feel as if Zhao Fu was a fire beast. Zhao Fu took out a bottle of wind insect beast blood and drank it, causing a green vortex to appear within his body. The bloodline did not change, and a green stream of air and a formless power spread out, giving off a formless power that could weaken the wind. After trying a few more times, Zhao Fu looked quite satisfied. This bloodline could indeed restrain the opponent's bloodline, and it would definitely be more powerful than the opponent's. With this ability, it would be much easier for Zhao Fu to deal with others in the future, while others would encounter opponents that could restrain them. However, it was possible that Zhao Fu would not use it often. Even though he could restrain them, Zhao Fu's true bloodline had already reached the peak of the origin bloodline, so using this bloodline's power would naturally be even more powerful. The fifth ability was the Heaven Explosion Beetle. From a name, it sounded like a self-destruct ability, and it could cause terrifying destructive power. Once this ability was used, Zhao Fu's body would turn into countless insects that would rush out in all directions, destroying and killing everything in their path. As long as one's power was not much greater than Zhao Fu's, almost no one would be able to escape this ability. Of course, this ability would greatly harm Zhao Fu's body. Even though he would not die, he would use up all of his power, and if he wanted to become stronger, he would need time to recover. If he did not want to live, the hidden heavenly explosion beetles would be the most terrifying. Its power was 10 times that of an ordinary hidden heavenly explosion beetles. The only certainty was that after using it, he would lose his life. It was almost impossible for Zhao Fu to do this, and there were even more terrifying methods. For example, if Zhao Fu detonated his 8 supreme stars, this terrifying power would be enough to kill even an immortal, let alone a supreme being. The effect was 100 times stronger than the heavenly explosion insect treasury. Due to the high cost of using this move, the evil immortal would not use it often unless he had no other choice. The sixth ability was called the Immortal World Cavern. This ability wasn't a combat ability, nor was it a support ability. Instead, it was a skill that allowed one to dig holes. Perhaps you might think that it was ridiculous. Why would such an expert, with such great power and such a powerful bloodline, dig holes? Isn't this a little too embarrassing? But what if I tell you that it's not digging another hole, but digging a hole between the mortal world and the immortal world? That's right. As long as you have this ability, you don't need to become an immortal, nor do you need to rely on the help of the people in the immortal world. You can dig a hole that leads to the immortal world by yourself. Although this ability didn't have any combat power, it was extremely rare and precious, enough to shock the world. Zhao Fu had never heard of anyone who had this ability. The evil immortal seemed to have dug a tunnel that led to the immortal world, and even traveled around the immortal world before finally returning to the chaotic world. Calling him the evil immortal, it was possible that the evil immortal had fused with a portion of true immortal chi. As the immortal chi of the immortal world, it was the purest, incomparable to the immortal chi of the mortal world. As for the tunnel that the evil immortal had dug, Zhao Fu thought about it. After so many years, the immortal world had the power to automatically repair itself. Under the powerful repair, that tunnel shouldn't exist anymore. Otherwise, other people would be able to use that tunnel to head to the immortal world. Actually, with this ability, all the forces would have to be respectful to the evil immortal. However, the evil immortal didn't reveal his ability, and in the end, he fought against the Eastern Alliance alone. Zhao Fu didn't know what kind of hatred there was between the two sides. This time, when he went to the Eastern Alliance to collect bronze shards, he might find out what happened back then. Right now, Zhao Fu wasn't interested in going to the immortal world because he was too weak. There were countless existences above immortals there, and it was too early for Zhao Fu to go there. However, when he had some free time, Zhao Fu could give it a try. He wanted to see how an ability could dig a tunnel to the immortal world. This was something that Zhao Fu was quite interested in. Right now, Qin also had a celestial-level existence, which was the Flower Fairy. However, she had yet to recover her power and memories, and he wondered what would happen after she went to the immortal world. The speed at which she recovered her power should be much faster, or he could go to the immortal world to get some things back. These things could be dealt with later. The evil immortal still had many other abilities, and after Zhao Fu familiarized himself with them, he immediately left the place. By then, the abnormal signs had already calmed down, and a large group of experts were most likely gathering here. Although Zhao Fu wasn't afraid, he was afraid of trouble. Zhao Fu turned into a beam of light and shot into the horizon, disappearing. After waiting for a while, as expected, countless people arrived here. Sensing the remnant aura, they knew that the evil immortal's inheritor, no, it shouldn't be called inheritor, but the real second evil immortal. Everyone looked around solemnly, and when they realized that Zhao Fu had already left, they also left in disappointment. Actually, they weren't very confident that they would be able to see Zhao Fu. Moreover, Zhao Fu had already become the second-generation evil immortal. As long as he chose to hide, even if he was here, no one would be able to find him. Now that the evil immortal's bloodline had reached the final stage, everyone guessed that the evil immortal should be hiding in a place to cultivate peacefully. With his bloodline, it wouldn't be long before he reached the almighty realm, and only then would the chaos world be a threat. Once he became an almighty, ordinary almighty beings would basically turn and run when they saw him. Everyone knew that ordinary almighty beings definitely wouldn't be a match for the evil immortal. Now, they could only hope that some genius-level experts would take action and see if they had the ability to suppress this evil immortal. As for them, they had no choice but to obediently watch from the side. In the end, everyone left one after another. At this time, a square-shaped eye grew out from a gigantic boulder, and it even cut out 6 pairs of insect legs. The gigantic boulder looked around in confusion, then quickly ran towards the place where Zhao Fu had discovered it. This gigantic boulder wasn't transformed into this by Zhao Fu. Instead, it was affected by Zhao Fu's power. Back then, Zhao Fu had sat cross-legged on its body to break through his bloodline. Thus, this gigantic boulder also gained a life of its own, and the aura it was emitting wasn't weak at all. The gigantic boulder had just gained life, and its intelligence had only just been born. It only possessed some instincts, and it could sense Zhao Fu. Following its instincts, it chased after Zhao Fu. Its speed was neither fast nor slow, and it was constantly attracted by various things. After all, it had just gained life and was curious about everything. Zhao Fu still didn't know that he had inadvertently created a stone life. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.